What is up, everybody? We are a few hours out from the debate. Gonna wait for everyone to pile in here, but Trump is currently speaking, so let's hear what he has to say. Haven't listened to any of this yet. Trump is currently giving a rambling speech in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where he's having trouble reading. He's mumbling to himself. Take a look at this.
But we're going to be working with them, with North Carolina. Great people, great state. And we're working very hard with them to make sure that that it works out as well as it can. Amazingly, this is one of the biggest hurricanes anyone's ever seen. You know, it's late in the season, very unusual. I guess the water was 20 feet high, and nobody expects that. People go up to their house and they think they're safe on the second floor, and they weren't safe. This was one of the, they call it the waterfalls. This was one of the biggest they've ever seen. So it's too bad. Very late in the season, too. You almost don't even think of it as hurricane season. Our hearts break for every family that is
It's right in the middle of the season. People keep correcting him on that, but he's doubling down.
Lost a home, and they've lost so much. They've lost everything in many cases. A lot of people don't have insurance, and we have to come together as neighbors and friends and fellow citizens to support those in need, and there's a lot of those in need right now. Unfortunately, I look forward to
He says we need to come
being back
together.
in
Let's
North
see how long it takes him to start disparaging VP Harris.
Carolina and Georgia very soon, and also Tennessee and Alabama. We had some big damage, but North Carolina was really hit. So we're going to work with them very hard and hopefully help them. We're here today to talk about how we're going to rescue American families from the nightmare of the Harris-Biden administration and launch a new generation of golden age for America. You know what's going on with the schools in our country. Not a good situation. Since Kamala Harris cast the deciding votes on the bills that caused the worst inflation in American history by far, by the way. Higher prices have cost the typical American family over $29,000. And you're continuing.
And Trump's solution is to tariff companies by 200%, anywhere from 50 to 200%.
To pay $1,100 every single month, more than you were doing before.
How's everybody doing
Nobody
today?
can afford that. Even if you get a salary increase, it's nothing compared to the kind of numbers you're talking about. Inflation is devastation. Inflation is country busting. It breaks countries. Look at Germany from centuries ago. Look at other countries, whether it's centuries ago or decades ago. Anything, any country that goes through inflation, and we went through a really bad period. We're the worst in our history. 8.4 million Americans are now working second jobs, the highest in more than 38 years. And you now have to make 100.
Look at how much he's leaning and tilting. He's really losing it. And it's blowing my mind that this race is so close. How's everybody doing today? We have a lot to cover. The debate is coming up. I want to read this article, how WALZ and VANCE are preparing for the 2024 VP debate. Thank you, Dark Lord. Yeah, I'm drinking some coffee right now. J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz will face off on Tuesday in the first and only VP debate. Fewer than 40 days until the election day. The debate, hosted by CBS in New York, will be moderated by Norah O'Donnell. Just Norah O'Donnell, cool. Oh, and Margaret Brennan, cool. The Ohio Republican, J.D. Vance, has been preparing for the debate for more than a month. A source directly involved told CBS News, including with murder board sessions with a small team that includes Vance's wife and his advisors, along with Jason Miller. Interesting. I know Tim Walz has been preparing with Pete Buttigieg. I think we got some leaked photos of their debate prep, right? Now, obviously, Tim Walz is objectively right on basically every single issue. We could say every single issue, but I have heard that he's not the strongest debater. He's so likable and chill, but I have heard he's not the strongest debater. He's not able to go for the jugular like he's supposed to. And then I've also heard that J.D. Vance is sort of slippery. Vance prepared with Alina Habba. Well, that's not good for Vance. Thank you, Sasha. Yeah, so I mean, keep your expectations in check. It might not be an absolute slaughter. Tim Walz is going to be doing well, but J.D. Vance is slippery. J.D. Vance is slippery as hell. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, a Minnesota Republican, stood in for WALZ during Vance's debate prep. 4 sources familiar with the preparations told CBS News. Emmer and WALZ have deep roots in Minnesota and are close in age. What's up, Debbie? Thank you. The formal mock debate with Emmer occurred last week, according to a source. Quote, "My job was to play Tim Walz so J.D. Vance knows what he is going to see," Emmer said. On Vance, Emmer told CBS that he'll focus on the economy, immigration, and global peace and stability. They're going to hit foreign policy very hard. Tim Walz is going to go hard on foreign policy. J.D. Vance is going to go hard on foreign policy. Tim Walz, hopefully he's prepared with all of the new developments today. Now, Wallace has been preparing for the debate with a close team of advisors. A source familiar with preparations told CBS. Some of the people involved also helped VP Harris. All right, so that'll be good. I see some Trump supporters in chat already. How do you guys feel that the same people who helped Kamala will be helping Tim Walz? And Kamala slaughtered Trump on the debate stage. She laughed in his face while he melted down. His orange makeup dripped off of his face. It was so good. For Walz, whose name recognition was until recently limited outside of Minnesota, the focus is on continuing to introduce himself to the American people. That's also a strategy he should take. Honestly, don't even bite. Don't be reactive to anything that that J.D. Vance says. Just introduce yourself. I was reading an article earlier that the main point of these debates is just to introduce yourself, not even to bite or take the bait at all. And I think Kamala did a great job doing that. Quote, "You'll hear me talk like I have about things that impact Americans, making sure they have the opportunity to thrive, making sure that we're being factual in how we talk about that." Walz told MSNBC's Rachel Maddow of the debate earlier this month. And yeah, if you think about it, all right, Tim Walz is at a natural disadvantage because he's working with the facts. J.D. Vance is going to go in there and he's going to be able to slither his way out of any question. He doesn't care about the facts. I mean, I'm sure Donald Trump gave Tim Walz advice, why do I keep mixing up their names? I am sure Donald Trump gave J.D. Vance advice regarding this debate and said, never admit defeat, lie, deflect, attack, over and over. And remember, J.D. Vance is a lawyer, so it's not like Tim Walz is just going to be able to absolutely get these easy clips. Thank you so much, Cadillac. Let's keep reading. During debate prep, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is standing in for J.D. Vance, a campaign official familiar with the preparation told CBS News. The former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, also assisted Harris during her debate prep a few years back in 2020 and is close in age to Vance. Buttigieg wore a red tie in the debate prep in northern Michigan. A source familiar said they're also both from the Midwest. I mean, one state over. South Bend is kind of close to Ohio. Senator Amy Klobuchar, who represents Walz's home state of Minnesota, told CBS News ahead of the debate that for Walz, quote, "Whenever he can get in, I think a little bit of his personality, that's a good thing." And that is very true. Tim Walz has a great personality.
Next, look at the governor's race in Minnesota between Democratic incumbent Tim Walz and Republican Scott Jensen. They met for their first debate, which included questions on abortion, education, and race relations.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and his Republican challenger, Dr. Scott Jensen. I'm Caitlin Alexander with KGTC, and welcome to the 2022 Minnesota gubernatorial debate hosted by Gray Television. Many of you are watching Gray stations across the state and may recognize the familiar faces joining me on the panel.
Walz is not a rookie, you're right, but don't set expectations too high. It's not going to be an absolute slaughterfest. I saw people on Twitter saying that J.D. Vance is going to piss his pants on stage. No, he's going to hold his own. He's a lawyer. He's going to be able to slip out of these questions. It's not going to be super easy. Even if Tim Walz is objectively right on 10 out of 10 issues, it's going to be hard to trap him. And it's not like you can bait J.D. Vance in the same way that you can bait Donald Trump. J.D. Vance is not 80 years old and an absolute freak in the same way that Trump is. He's close.
Tonight, Dan Wolf with Northern News Now in Duluth, Justin Betty from Valley News Live in Fargo-Moorhead, and Stacey Steinhagen from KUIC News Now in Mankato. Each of us have worked together to come up with questions for our candidates tonight. We have not shared those questions with anyone outside of our station's management. Dan Wolf will serve as moderator and timekeeper. He has tonight's rule.
Court overturned Roe v. Wade, no longer guaranteeing women the right to an abortion.
It's when you basically just keep farming clips for TikTok, for Instagram, for Twitter that go viral. And he needs to do that regarding abortion, education, regarding climate change, everything in America that people care about right now, the economy, of course. And he needs to get these perfect clips where he's talking about abortion. You can clip it up into 40 seconds, and then Taylor Swift's TikTok fan base can see it and realize that Tim Walz is a super likable dude. Yeah, exactly, Betty. Betty sums it up perfectly. Vance is good at changing the subject and deflecting. Yep, and Vance is also good at lying. He's good at being slippery. So I don't think he's going to have a meltdown on stage or get baited or rattled in the same way that Trump did. He'll probably be smug and cocky, and he'll like slither his way out. What I'm trying to say is that if you're a MAGA Republican, you're going to think that Vance is doing fine.
Abortion nationwide, leaving it up to states. Our station's right on the border of Fargo, North Dakota, and Moorhead, Minnesota. So in North Dakota, abortion could and is expected to soon become illegal in most cases under a trigger law.
Possibly gets changed is through some sort of an amendment.
I want to hear what Tim Walz sounds like in a debate. This is his gubernatorial debate from a few years back.
Proceedings, and we should have a tax credit associated with it.
From 2022.
I also would like to see us stiffen the penalties.
Thank you, Dr. Jensen. Governor Walz, you have 90 seconds.
Also, a few things. Number one, how's everyone doing today? Drop in chat how you're doing, how you're feeling heading into this debate. It's not really high stakes. It's not going to really change the outcome of the election, but I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see J.D. Vance and Tim Walz go at each other. I don't know if they've ever met. Have they ever met? You guys are doing great, doing great. Also, make sure you leave a like on the stream. We're close to 1,000 likes. We have some fun games that we're going to do, some prediction games in a bit. We got some clips to watch. But first, let's watch the last debate that J.D. Vance participated in yet. Or, 1 second. Have you liked the stream yet? All right, this is the last debate that that Tim Walz participated in 2022. Let's see how he did. Let's see a few of his answers. This is regarding abortion.
Well, there's a clear
Susan said you're a little bit nervous but optimistic. There's no reason to be nervous. It's not high stakes.
contrast.
But yeah, no quit in this. They have opposite characteristics. One of them is really chill, nice, genuine guy, and one of them is the exact opposite. J.D. Vance is pretty slippery and slimy. I want to see if this contrast... Yeah, it's for politics, nerds. The profit.
Here, my entire career, I've trusted women to make their health care decisions. I don't believe anybody who sits in this office should come between them. Scott was very clear in May. He mocked me and said, no kidding, Sherlock, I'm running for governor to get things done. We're going to ban abortion. That's not news. That changed after Roe versus Wade. And I think what most of us know, again, you heard this go to many different places. This is not about trusting women. It's not about holding clear convictions. It's about changing your positions as the winds blow. This is about life and death. This is about providers making the most personal decisions with a woman with nobody else in between them.
Oh, he's going to kill this. You guys hear, he's already, so this is from 2 years back. And I feel like, am I wrong or is he a little bit slimmer now? But this is from 2 years back, and he's already hitting that abortion message perfectly. And Democrats have had 2 years to refine this message.
That changed after Roe versus Wade. And I think what most of us know, again, you heard
this off the screen.
This go to many different places. This is not about trusting women. It's not about holding clear convictions. It's about changing your positions as the winds blow. This is about life and death. This is about providers making the most personal decisions with a woman with nobody else in between them. I've made it very clear in every single thing I've done. I didn't have to practice 40 years of medicine to change the positions on women's health care in the final weeks once we saw how unpopular this was. So what I'd speak to Minnesotans on this, being governor means making hard decisions. Doesn't mean you're always going to get them right, but it means trusting Minnesotans. So let's just be very clear. The governors appoint Supreme Court justices who interpret cases and come in front of them. We heard Supreme Court justices go in front of the United States Senate and claim that there was no way Roe versus Wade would change because it was settled law.
Yo, he's doing great right here.
Fool us
he
once.
Is killing it.
It's not.
And he's okay. So like I said, we've had 2 years to refine this abortion message. He's had 2 years to refine his skills, and he got launched onto the national stage over the past 90 days or so. So I really think he's gonna do well tonight. You know how genuine he is. And if he can just stick to this script, basically this script is perfect.
Not going to happen here in Minnesota. I just want to be absolutely clear. This is on the ballot It will impact generations to come, and I have been absolutely clear from the beginning of this. Not on our watch. I trust women. I trust them to make their own healthcare decisions.
Yes, yes. So then he needs to, that's a really good message right there. And then he can loop in what Donald Trump said recently about being the protector of women, and then he can be like, something to the effect of what Kamala said, where women don't need you to protect them. Women need you to trust them to make their own decisions. Is he going to drop the word weird? I want to do a polling game in a bit where I ask you guys some questions. Will Tim Walz say X? Will JD Vance say X? And I poll you guys, and then I'll write down what you guys say, and then we can look at it after the debate when we go live again. I can't decide if I want to live stream the debate or not. It's risky. It's very risky for my channel, but I mean, I really want to do it.
Thank you, Governor Walz. Let's go to Stacey Steinhagen with KEYC News Now.
Many of our viewers have reached out about the ongoing opioid crisis affecting communities big and small. According to the Minnesota Department of Health,
that was a really good answer from Tim
this
Walz.
opioid
crisis and save lives. The question going to Governor Walz first.
Yeah, the opioid crisis, and it continued to accelerate. We've seen this in Minnesota. It's even disproportionately hits our communities of color, especially our indigenous communities. Certainly the idea of stopping them at the border, but there's a lot of things that we can do on the front end, making sure that we're stopping that demand, making sure that we have the current services available. I want to say one thing I'm really proud of in Minnesota. Minnesota was one of the states that sued the manufacturers who were making this. This opioid pandemic started, and some of you have seen the shows, you've seen the documentaries that have been done on this, that they started.
CBS is putting Walz down. Let me check. Someone said he slimmed out. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
This generation doesn't, but Kamala Harris is making an effort lately, going on the Up and Smoke podcast to talk basketball, but also about young black men.
They're talking about VP Harris right now, but
pushing.
If Tim Walz can bring this sort of rhetoric to the debate, they're doing well. See, Tim Walz is a pretty decent debater. Someone was telling me earlier to talk about the stakes of this debate, and if there are any stakes, so let's read this. This NPR article, how much can the upcoming vice presidential debate impact the election? Because people have been debating this over the past week or so, right? A lot of people have been saying, or the common knowledge is essentially that vice presidential debates have no effect whatsoever. But this is a unique election for a few reasons, obviously. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have had 90 days for everybody to get to know them, number one. But number two, we're not having 3 presidential debates like we usually do. Someone asked why it's risky to live stream the debate. Essentially, these companies, I think it's CBS tonight, they get very protective over their debates. So I'm risking a copyright strike where they copyright my channel, and then I'm screwed over, and it makes it harder for me to make content or do this as a job. So it's like, do I risk it for the 1 hour of fun? I really want to. I want to take the risk, but it's rough. On Tuesday, 2 Midwesterners will face off in the only VP debate of the election. Ohio Senator JD Vance and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz will share the stage exactly 5 weeks from Election Day. Don't risk it. Don't risk it. That's basically the common knowledge. Yeah, that's the common advice I've gotten from everybody at Meidas. They say, why have 1 hour of fun to risk months and months of or years of your career? I mean, I could probably get away with it, but why would I risk long term? You can stream someone else's stream. Maybe I can try. I'll figure it out. Either way, we're going to go live before now. Let's read this article. We have a lot to break down. We have some games to play. I want to break down some stuff about Project 2025, do some research on that. But let's see how much this matters. In a race where so much of the polling is within margin of error, Mockler War Room, let's go. I love the sound of that, yeah. Don't risk it. Don't risk it. It's not, I don't think it's worth risking because, oh no, what the hell? My chat went full screen. Because if I start to seed, if I'm not able to make content for a week, if it bans me from making content for a week as we're heading into the election, that's big stuff. Like if I lose momentum in October, a month before the election, it's not good. NPR senior White House correspondent Tamara Keith dug into the existential and political question, do vice presidential debates matter? Quote, I served with Jack Kennedy. I knew Jack Kennedy. Jack Kennedy was a friend of mine. Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy. That happened between Benson and Quayle on a PBS debate between Senator Dan Quayle and Lloyd Benson. Anyone know that quote? I don't remember it happening because it was a while ago, but I remember seeing this a few years back. And it went viral on Twitter like 2 days ago.
There was another memorable exchange that happened at another vice presidential debate.
Yeah, I mean,
Jonathan,
of course it's tempting because I want to be here with you guys. Of course it's tempting, but I don't know.
There was another memorable exchange that happened at another vice presidential debate. Jonathan, this one in 1988. That was a debate between Lloyd Bentsen and Dan Quayle.
It is not just age, it's accomplishments, it's experience. I have far more experience than many others that sought the office of vice president of this country. I have as much experience in the Congress as Jack Kennedy did when he sought the presidency. I will be prepared to deal with the people in the Bush administration if that unfortunate event would ever occur.
Senator Benson.
Senator, I served with Jack Kennedy. I knew Jack Kennedy. Jack Kennedy was a friend of mine. Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy.
That is brutal as hell. That is absolutely brutal. There's no... If Tim Walz can get a shot like that off tonight, that is brutal. And then Ronald Reagan also had a good quote, but this was obviously in a presidential debate. He said, "I want you to know that I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I'm not going to exploit, for political purposes, my opponent's youth and inexperience." This was when questions of his age were coming up, and he made his opponent look like a fool. I don't know. I feel like these debates used to be a lot cooler. 1 second.
Title II of the ADA requires states to provide community-based treatment for persons with mental disabilities.
But of the 16,000
Or
people...
this is what CBS is covering right now?
These things for profit and ended up spreading in.
Okay, back to this article. Joel Goldstein is an expert on the vice presidency. He argues that VP debates do matter. Quote, "It's an important part of their introduction to the American people, along with the sort of VP rollout and the acceptance," he told NPR. And these two could use more of an introduction. J.D. Vance is a best-selling author, but has only been in the Senate for 2 years, and Governor Tim Walz served in Congress but never had a national profile until now. Goldstein says one key test is whether voters can imagine them as president. If somebody is not prepared to be president on day one, they're also not likely to be the sort of person who's going to walk into the Oval Office and say no to the president. I think that this is going to be, either of them could conceivably be president. It matters. So yeah. Yeah, that was a good comeback by Benson. I mean, if we can get a moment like that, that was 40 years ago, basically, and they're doing exactly what I was talking about earlier. The goal of this debate is to clip farm. It's to make people, it's to get these clips for TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, to farm them in a way where every single thing you say is a soundbite. And then these soundbites can be on repeat. I mean, you got to know how to play the media game. So it's not like Tim Walz should go in there, like I said, and bite back at everything that J.D. Vance says. Or I don't even think a couch jab would be appropriate. Do you think that that Tim Walz should say the word couch? We could talk more about this later, but let me know in chat. Do you guys think that Tim Walz should say the word couch? I don't think a jab like that is necessary in this. I think you should go for the jugular without no couch. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, no couch. Number one, it's immature. Number two, if you're going to go for the jugular, do it policy-wise. Walz should say, "Mr. Vance, you are no Dan Quayle." It's a little bit too iterative. What's up, Summer? No couch. Yeah, I totally agree. People on Twitter are always tweaking. Someone on Twitter was saying earlier, like, "I can't wait for the couch jobs." And I was like, that'll come off as a little bit too immature.
Into our communities. That's where most of this has come from. And I have to say, I want to be very clear about this. They didn't do it alone. When Scott
it was really funny the first time when he made that one joke about J.D. Vance getting off the couch. That was amazing. But if he made that joke too many times, it'd be like, it's not as funny as on the fourth or fifth time, man.
Issuing opioid prescriptions. He issued more than 94% of his peers. He did that at the same time while accepting meals from the manufacturers and the pharmaceutical companies, whining and dining on expensive meals. And then he did an expose that was in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune that was entitled
Prepped by Mayor Pete.
Confessions.
Yep. That's what I'm excited about as well. Prepped by Mayor Pete. I want to do some Project 2025 talk because it's kind of dropped off the radar. But first, let's see what Trump's been posting on Truth Social. I know he's had quite a day on Twitter, but I haven't been on here yet. I haven't been on his Truth Social. He posted a video from Wisconsin. This war was totally preventable. It should have never happened. If I were president, it would have never happened. Oh yeah, tonight a large focus of the debate is going to be foreign policy, and Tim Walz better be prepped and up to date on the current situation between Iran and Israel and Hezbollah. Look at the world today, says Donald Trump on Truth Social. Look at the missiles flying right now in the Middle East. Look what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. None of this is true. Donald Trump would not have prevented any of this, and he's delusional if he thinks he would have.
Of a prescription drug pusher, where Scott acknowledged that their impact on him and marketing impacted his prescribing of those. It's getting at the front end of this. It's understanding why it got it out there. It's doing what the state of Minnesota did, suing, and then putting in processes to both capture the opioids before they get there and working with folks who are in recovery. Minnesota can do that.
Thank you, Governor Walz. Dr. Jensen, you have 90 seconds.
Without question, the fentanyl that plagues us today is taking a tremendous number of lives. I think over 100,000 drug overdose deaths in 2021, and 2/3 of those are fentanyl. In the 1980s and the 1990s, there was absolutely a heavy-duty pharma push to encourage physicians to use more narcotics and opiates. We actually had another vital sign, which was the pain management level. What's your pain level, 1 through 10? And if we didn't ask that, we weren't, quote, doing good medicine. So I don't disagree with Tim Walz. Physicians and the healthcare
to having and the ability to.
The thing is, the revenues from sports gaming are relatively small compared to some of the other things we do. But yes, I would certainly support us doing it right. But I also know that we need to manage that from the state level.
Thank you, Governor. Justin.
We're getting a clearer picture of how the COVID-19 pandemic is impacting our children's education. A federal report shows math and reading scores dropped significantly the first 2 years of the pandemic. ACT scores lowest they've been.
I'm guessing that Tim Walz is going to be locked and loaded with a bunch of good stuff, and none of it, it's not going to be low blows about couches. It's going to be good, substantial policy stuff. Stuff about childless cat ladies. I think that's something that he should bring up. I think that's a little bit more mature than the couch stuff. All right. Let's do some Project 2025 talk for a little bit, for about 15-20 minutes, because let me tell you, it has dropped off the radar, and I do wonder if it's going to be mentioned tonight. Yes, and the lies about Haitians, absolutely. Not only just bring up the lies about Haitians, but bring up the fact that J.D. Vance sowed division in his own home state, and we have Democratic and Republican sheriffs and mayors in Ohio saying that the people on the national stage, like Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, are not helping. And the thing is, I say this in my videos all the time. When a bunch of new people move into a town, there are real problems that can be created. Even the Democratic sheriff and the governor or the mayors were saying this stuff. They were saying, yeah, we all need to come together as a community and make sure that there is no pressure on the infrastructure, make sure everybody assimilates. But we can do that because we're in America and we are a melting pot. But what J.D. Vance and Donald Trump want to do is manufacture stories. What time is the debate? It's 2 hours from now. Or an hour and 55 minutes on the dot, I believe. Right, guys? But this is a new documentary all about Project 2025 and how we got here, the rise of Christian nationalism in America. I have a few clips that I want to play because it's really interesting. I've talked to a lot of Trump supporters at Trump rallies that mention these exact things. Yep, an hour and 55 minutes, 54 minutes, the debate. Then we're going to do some trivia about the debate. We're going to talk about what we're going to see and what we think they're going to say. Will you be streaming the debate? Probably not. But let's watch some clips from God and Country and what MAGA supporters are saying.
I view the United States and its government under the values of God, God's law first.
I believe that we were founded as a Christian nation. I believe that we should be a Christian nation. It's literally in our Constitution.
We are a Christian nation. Our entire founding is based on those Judeo-Christian values.
I do not believe in the separation of church and state. You cannot take God out of anything.
We're one nation under God. And if we can't be a Christian nation, the light into the world, then the evil will reign. Darkness will reign.
One of the things that I kind of specialize in is the myths and disinformation that make up the Christian nationalist identity. It's things like the Founding Fathers prayed at the Constitutional Convention, and that our laws are based on the Ten Commandments, and that George Washington knelt in the snow at Valley Forge and prayed. None of that is true, but it's accepted gospel, and these are the talking points and the dog whistles that Christian nationalists can use to communicate with each other.
If we are going to have one nation under God, which we must, we have to have one religion, one nation under God, and one religion under God.
Christian nationalists say, we really were founded as a Christian nation because in God we trust, because so help me God, because we have a national day of prayer.
I've heard this at Trump rallies before. It's scary stuff, and I don't know how. It's almost like a top-down infiltration. Because you'll hear these pundits like Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro say something like, we're not actually a democracy, we're a republic. And then I go to these MAGA rallies and I hear it from the people on the ground. And it's the same way with Christian nationalism, the way that it bleeds. It's a top-down effort from Donald Trump, from the people around him. And then it gets injected into homes from Sinclair and Fox News. It's insane. But there's some crazy stuff, watch.
But actually, we've seen
some scary stuff.
Waves of Christian nationalism throughout American history. In the 1950s, we had Under God added to the pledge, In God We Trust adopted as the motto, a prayer room put in the Capitol, the National Day of Prayer imposed. During the Civil War, we saw In God We Trust added to our coins. And all of these artifacts then become ways to justify future waves of Christian nationalism.
We have to think of ourselves as pilgrims. It was their children and their children's children that gave birth to America.
When the Pilgrims and the Puritans came over, they established their tiny little theocracies and suffocated everybody's religious freedom. You have to believe, you have to act like this. They imposed theocratic law and were essentially failed societies. And when the founders got together and were looking at how are we going to create the U.S. Constitution, they looked back at that and they said, we don't want any part of that. That's the wrong way to do things.
The church is supposed to direct the government. The government is not supposed to direct the church.
Yikes. Sitting member of Congress right here. And that's what also annoys me. People in American politics, people who don't pay attention to American politics a lot of times think that the left-wing people or people in Congress who are Democrats are extreme and right-wing people aren't extreme. But when you have sitting members of Congress like Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I mean, half of members of Congress that are Republican think the election was stolen. And the farthest left person that's a Democrat is like Bernie Sanders, who just wants health care for everyone. So it's just insane to me. Half of Congress, someone said that's not true. Which part is it? I mean, half of Congress, or half of Republicans in Congress think the election was stolen. They're actual extremists, and Republicans are just chill people.
That is not how our founding fathers intended it. And I'm tired of this separation of church and state junk.
What documentary is this? God and Country. It's on Amazon and Peacock. We're going to watch a few more clips about January 6th from it. It talks about how we got to Project 2025, how we got to where we are.
It's not in the Constitution. It was in a stinking letter, and it means nothing like what they say it does.
If you look at the Constitution, the really unique contributions are secular. The founders, when they were writing the Constitution in Philadelphia, they didn't invoke the Bible, they didn't turn to religious principles. And we know this because we have the records. It's very, very clear. It was secular by design, by choice. In fact, that actually pissed people off at the time. It begins, we the people. Our Constitution was the first to do that. It was the first to draw power from the people and not a deity. No other country had done that before. It was the first in the history of the world to ban religious tests for public office. And it did so in language that was very clear and emphatic. It says, no religious test shall ever be required of any office or public trust under the United States.
Boom. What is Lauren Boebert smoking? She said the exact opposite.
And even all of that was not enough for the founders. So that's just the original document. Then later on, they came along and said, we're actually going to amend this, and we're going to add in more protections. And so then you get the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And in that, you have the founders separating state and church in an effort partly to protect religious freedom. They understood that it's impossible to have true religious freedom without a secular government. There is no freedom of religion without a government that is free from religion.
True.
Is the United States a Christian nation in the sense that we have a lot of Christians here? Sure. Is the United States a Christian nation in the sense that Christianity influenced our culture? Sure. Was the United States, our government, our constitution, our laws, founded on Christian or Judeo-Christian principles? The answer to that is no, absolutely not.
Very well said. And that's from God and Country. I have a few more clips, but I want to play a quick game with you guys. I've got a few phrases, and I want to know what we're going to add to this list. What you guys think are the odds that they'll say this? You know, let me start a new poll right here. End poll. Sound is great. Good to hear. Start a poll. Will Tim Walz say the words Project 2025 tonight? I'm going to start a poll asking that. Will Tim Walz say the words Project 2025? I hope not. Someone said they hope not. We can talk about if they should or not after. I started a poll. Let me know. Will he say the words Project 2025? This should be an easy one, but we've got some more polls that we'll do after. Of course, of course. JD Vance's buzzword is fundamentally. That is so true, thinking about it. He goes, it's fundamentally. Yes, he should. Okay, it seems like we've mediated 95% yes. 5% no. Okay, that's an easy one. And the obvious answer is that he should. He should absolutely bring up Project 2025. If you listen to Sarah Longwell in The Bulwark, they talk about their focus groups. And Project 2025 is something that people bring up naturally themselves. They are scared of what we just talked about, the separation of church and state being taken away. And I think if Tim Walz can get these sound bites, as I said, I'm going to say this again. This is a game of sound bites tonight. It's not, can he pwn JD Vance? Can he absolutely destroy him in a debate? It's, can you get a sound bite? So honestly, there were a few times in the Kamala and Trump debate where Kamala doesn't really directly answer the question. And it's not because that's a bad thing. It's because that's what you're supposed to do in the debate. You're supposed to play for the clips. And you could tell she would pivot off of the question. And Trump would just is in a whole different universe during that. Trump's talking about Haitian cats and dogs. This is talking about the Third Reich and Christianity and how it's led into Project 2025. This one's kind of intense.
So in graduate school, I was an American historian by training, American religious historian, but I had an outside field, 20th century Germany, with a focus on the German Christian movement. I had a fascination with how could Christians participate in a movement like the Third Reich? And how could they do so not kind of neglecting their Christianity, or at least not to their mind, but as Christians, twisting their Christianity in such a way that it was compatible with Nazism?
When Adolf Hitler ascended to the chancellorship, he didn't seize power. It was given to him by a very Christian electorate who declared him in 1933 to be a gift and miracle from God.
Scary stuff.
And I remember quite well, when I was being trained as a minister, we were told never prepare a sermon without consulting the Dictionary of New Testament Theology, edited by Gerhard Kittel, a good German evangelical Bible scholar. Nobody ever told me that Gerhard Kittel was Adolf Hitler's resident theologian that gave him the theological justification for genocide. Why didn't we ever know that one of the theologians we consulted most often justified genocide? Boy, that was an eye-opener.
Yep, I've been reading a lot of books on World War II lately. It's kind of fascinating stuff. The rise of Hitler and the fall of Hitler and the way that America was able to get a bunch of allies together. It's just, I've been reading a lot about it. The fall of the Weimar Republic reminds me a lot. You know, I used to think that the Trump-Hitler comparisons were really heavy-handed back in like 2017. I didn't see it. And as the years went on, it's very, very obvious. Very, very obvious. Thank you, everybody who has gifted subs, by the way. Grunge Storytellers. Here is a clip about the history of Roe v. Wade and how we've gotten to where we are today. And a lot of this stuff will relate back to Project 2020, or sorry, the debate tonight and Project 2025. Very obvious. Yeah, and also we've gotten more information about Trump keeping Hitler speeches next to his bedside. The poisoning the blood of our country is very new. I mean, that started in like 2023. So it's gotten worse.
Thousands of ladies were marching in Los Angeles and New York for their rights. ERA. All the rights any dear lady needs.
Thank you, Dark Brandon. This is going to be a good clip. For everybody who cares about Roe v. Wade and how we've gotten here, pay attention to Project 2025, Roe v. Wade, and Christianity, how they all intertwine. Also, let me know if you guys can hear this well.
Thousands of ladies were marching in Los Angeles and New York for their rights. ERA. All the rights any dear lady needs is the right to be married to a godly husband who is under the lordship of Jesus Christ.
Jerry Falwell is a pastor at Thomas Road Baptist Church, a church in Virginia. He's on the radio and he's on television. He's reaching and influencing conservative Christians across the country. And so he founds the Moral Majority.
It's a political action committee registered as such, just like those of labor unions or any other organization.
And he ends up really playing a critical role in binding together conservative Christianity with this kind of newly crystallized political vision, particularly around the issue of abortion.
Abortion is a moral issue. It is a theological issue. It is a human rights issue, an issue that concerns the human rights of unborn babies who, by the hundreds of thousands, are being murdered.
From the perspective of the 21st century, when we look at the religious right as a political bloc, it looks like they mobilized around the
Content warning in chat, someone said, this is terrifying. Yeah, it's terrifying, but it's reality. It's reality.
Issue of abortion and overturning Roe v. Wade. When you look at the historical record, however, when Roe v. Wade first passed in 1973, white evangelicals had a mix of responses. Basically, a lot of the responses were, it's the law of the land, follow the law.
A lot of people think the movement was born in response to Roe versus Wade because movement leaders want them to think that and have promoted this idea. But the reality is a lot more complicated and frankly a lot uglier.
What really catalyzed the religious right in the early to mid 1970s was the so-called right of private Christian schools to maintain racially segregated institutions.
Roe versus Wade became a convenient, chosen wedge issue. But really, modern Christian nationalism was born out of the fight to desegregate schools.
Did you like it at school today?
Interesting.
Yeah. What difference was there in going to Hoffman Boston School?
Well, school is bigger.
Really quickly, thank you so much, Pounce is Human. I'm old enough to still remember this. Like you, Adam, I was politically aware in my teens and 20s. That is amazing. A lot of experience. Laura Mace, thank you. David Littlefield, thank you. Dark Brandon.
It's easy to get lost there.
Did you feel as if you're going to like it there?
Yeah.
Brown v. Board, legislating that schools had to desegregate, was passed in 1954. And Many people were up in arms.
Regardless of what they've decided, we will have segregated schools.
And are you going back to school?
No, sir.
And why did you come out of school?
Because I'm not going to school with
Uh-huh. And do you feel that the majority agree with you or with the
majority of people here in Arkansas agree with me.
This was not long. This was literally not long ago.
What are you going to do for an education then?
Well, St. Mary's isn't integrated. We can go there. We can go to a private school.
Many Christians and evangelicals in particular thought they could keep religious schools segregated and not have to listen to the government.
One particular example is with Bob Jones University. Bob Jones University was started by Bob Jones Sr. He was this famous preacher and evangelist and segregationist. So Bob Jones University was a segregated school, didn't allow black people at all. Then you get a series of court cases in the 1970s where the federal government said, no, you can't do that. That's a violation of constitutional rights. It's a violation of civil rights. And if you maintain this stance on racial segregation, you will lose your tax-exempt status. You lose your tax-exempt status, which means you have to pay more money. And it was the combination of those two, race and money, that got many church leaders into politics.
That is an example of systemic racism right there. That was not long ago. Let's do another question really quickly. I want to ask you guys a question about the debate tonight. Where did this tab just go? Let's see what you guys think about this. Will Tim Walz bring up the childless cat lady comments? Let me pop it in the poll right here. This is going to be an interesting one, I think. Oh, whoops. Boom. Let me know what you think. I'm curious. I have one more clip from that documentary, God and Country, which was made by a team of my friends. My friends made this, and they deserve a lot of credit for this. It's a great documentary. You guys are a little bit more divided on that one. 77, 78%. Everyone voted in that poll. Will Tim Walz bring up the childless cat lady comments on stage tonight? No, he won't. It's beneath him. Is that beneath him? I mean, JD Vance did say it. He will as he laughs. He should. It was insulting. No, he should not. He should bring out an actual cat. Could you imagine? No shot. Adam, thank you for your informative reporting. Thank you, Elizabeth. Do you think he will say America's Hitler? That might be too far. There's a lot of better JD Vance quotes to pick from that aren't so inflammatory, let's say. It's not a childish joke. It's what JD Vance said. Exactly, Nathan. So we were talking about the couch thing earlier. We all unanimously agreed, basically. The couch thing he should not bring up. That would be a disaster if Tim Walz. That's like something that Trump would do. But JD Vance actually said the childless cat lady thing. I mean, those are his own words. So you guys said 76% to 24%. Oh, wait, it just changed. 77%. All right, that's fair. That's fair. I think Walz should stick to facts and policy rather than going for that type of stuff. Yeah, I mean, that does relate directly to policy, though, because what JD Vance was saying is that childless cat lady shouldn't be able to make policy, and it's inherently sexual or sexist rhetoric, not sexual rhetoric. It's inherently sexist rhetoric. Here's what I think. I think if the context is right, it's very context dependent. Now, if JD Vance starts going off about how Donald Trump is great for women, about how blah, 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 and childcare, this, that, then that is when you bring it up. Okay, I got a good one for you guys. Seems like you guys were... Oh, wait, it changed to 76 again. Vote in this poll that I'm about to drop right now. Will JD Vance say the word tampon? There's no shot, right? I mean, I don't want to poison it. Let me know what you guys think. Will JD Vance say the word tampon? Maybe he will. Check out the poll. Adam, your shirt is fire. Thank you. Quick plug. It's from the Adam Mockler merch store. This is one of the cleanest designs we have. It says, "Say it to my face," because Donald Trump won't debate again. And then it says Kamala for president. I love polls. Yeah, this is fun. He's not an idiot. That Scooby Snack says he's not an idiot, and that is actually something that I sort of agree with, and I think people are undermining. A lot of people on Twitter and on social media are saying that tonight's going to be an absolute slaughter fest, or that JD Vance is going to fall for every trap. No, he's not baitable. He's not a complete idiot. He knows how to slither around. He won't say it. He will say it. Someone said he's not dumb enough to, and then a few messages later, someone said he is dumb enough to. All right, you guys are split on this one. Let me 51 to 49 on the tampon thing. I think that would be a major miscalculation. If JD Vance says the word tampon on stage, and what we're implying here is that he's going to say tampon Tim or something to that effect, drop a joke. I don't think that would be a good idea. What's a poll? The poll is in the chat. If you look at the top, I have a poll where you can vote yes or no. No, he won't. That would be a major mistake. I agree, Corey. That'd be a major miscalculation. That's something Trump would do. But again, JD Vance is not like an 80-year-old or 78-year-old dude who is losing his mind. I want to play you this clip about January 6th in Project 2025, how we got here. Watch this. It's from God and Country.
I live 6 blocks from the Capitol, and I was on yet another Zoom meeting, and I get a text from one of my staff saying, "Have you seen what's going on? Turn on your television." And then I heard all the helicopters flying around.
Right now, essentially, from Capitol Police, the Capitol building itself is shut down.
I was at home when I got an alert on my computer.
I was sitting at home, turned on the news to see the Capitol being overrun.
I could not believe the images that I was seeing. People beating up police officers. Attacking the Capitol itself.
It felt surreal. Is this really my country?
This scene that you're seeing right now on television is...
I'm not laughing at this. I'm just laughing at something someone said.
It's absolutely stunning. The idea that these people have come from outside and broken into the Capitol and decided to take the Senate floor like this.
I was at home. I was watching, and I noticed on the screen attackers had finally reached the Senate and were on the floor of the Senate. And as I was watching, I saw one of the assaulters carry a Christian flag onto the floor of the U.S. Senate.
Oh my Lord.
And it really
That's
became
almost more offensive than the Confederate flag. Also, I've been saying this in debates for a while, and it's true. It's not even solely about the dumb fucks that broke into the Capitol on January 6th. Like, it's not even solely about them. Obviously, the imagery is very powerful, but I think a lot of times playing that footage misses the point that Donald Trump behind the scenes was coming up with an unconstitutional legal theory, pressuring Mike Pence, pressuring Raffensperger, pressuring Kemp, and he was trying to do that in all 7 swing states. So yeah, of course, the imagery of January 6th is terrible, but it's not even about the dumbasses. It's not even about those dumbasses. It's more about Donald Trump's actions that led there.
Obvious to me, having written books about this threat, having talked about this threat for years.
What documentary is this? It's God and Country. I'm about to pin a link to the... It's basically just a documentary about how we got to January 6th. I'm close with the team that made it, and I really liked it. It's some good stuff, and it deserves more attention. It's good.
That it had been realized.
Thank you, God. Thank you for filling this table with patriots that love you and that love Christ.
Christian nationalists were the primary organizers of the attack on the United States Capitol.
We have to understand how they understand it. And how they understand it is overthrowing this legitimate election is part of their calling as Christians. To see it actually happen, to watch it live, as a Christian, I felt like a 10-pound weight had been dropped into my stomach. And I knew that we were fighting for the fate of democracy from here on out.
Insane stuff. That's from God and Country. If you want to check it out, I have a pinned comment. Really, really cool stuff. I want to bring your attention over to a few things right now. I have two different debates up. One is the last debate that Senator J.D. Vance participated in, Ohio's 2022 Senate race. And the other debate that we have pulled up is the last debate that Tim Walz participated in, Minnesota 2022 gubernatorial debate. And I want to listen to both answers on abortion.
Minnesota. That would mean that
Honestly, I don't care what this guy has to say. I'm just going to skip ahead to Walz's answer. But then first, let's see what happens. We're recreating our own debate in our pre-debate war room. We're literally recreating our own debate right here.
Thank you, Mr. Vance.
Just one time, Tim.
Mr. Vance, thank you. We're going to move on to our next topic, which is abortion.
Oh, wait a minute. Are they're getting heated right here?
The question, and he did just attack me, so let me respond here. You've taken...
Oh, no. Okay, so I haven't seen Tim Walz's debate. I've only seen like tiny clips or memes from it. But this he might actually be a little more, he might go for the jugular here. It seems like he's trying to talk over and be like fierce. And the thing is, that's going to be compounded by Donald Trump's training. He's going to tell J.D. Vance to be more like a bulldog.
Tens of millions of dollars, Tim, from technology companies, from out-of-state money. What percent of your donors have come from the state of Ohio? A very small share. His entire campaign is based on sucking up to the National Democratic
Tim Ryan, you mean? I might have mixed up like three names.
Establishment. And of course they support you, Tim, because you support their policies 100%. Now here's what happened. He says he challenged Nancy Pelosi for leadership, but then he goes on national TV and says that he loves her. Is that the price of challenging Nancy Pelosi?
Can I
doing it for a few days before you failed, like you've done with everything that you've tried to get through for the people of Youngstown?
Derek, let me just answer that. The quote of me saying, I love Nancy Pelosi, was right before I said I'm running against her. You know why? Because I don't have to hate anybody. I don't have to hate Republicans. I don't have to hate Nancy Pelosi or Joe Biden. I don't have to hate them. We need to move the political discourse in this country from hate and anger and division to love and compassion and forgiveness. And
mics will not be muted, someone said. I believe that's true. And Tim Ryan's really good.
Some grace. And all I'm saying.
Let's see what. Okay, I want to hear what J.D. Vance has to say about abortion in particular. Let's see what he says.
My basic view.
And then, or actually, let's listen to J.D. Vance's abortion response first, and then we can see what Tim Walz says. We can act like they're in the same room. Let's watch this one first.
Here is that we need to protect life in this country, and it is a very different view from where Tim Ryan stands. Now, in the particular case of that young girl, what I've said is she should be able to get an abortion in this state. And I think one obvious exception that applies there is that it's very dangerous for a young girl to bring a baby to term like that. But let's just back up a second. Two things on this. Number one, the question presupposed that Tim Ryan supports codifying Roe versus Wade. Yet his actual voting record here has supported abortion without limits up to 40 weeks of pregnancy. Tim Ryan voted for a piece of legislation that would prevent doctors from providing care to babies who survive botched abortions. That is not the Roe versus Wade standard, Tim. And as much as you call me...
so he's going to do it. He's going to do the 9th-month abortion thing, or maybe even the post-birth execution thing. He was doing this back in 2022.
Extremist, you're the extremist on this issue.
He is saying it in a more articulate way than Donald Trump, I will say.
The other thing that's important to talk about, Tim Ryan talks about this poor girl who was raped the 10-year-old girl who had to travel to Indiana to get an abortion. Obviously an incredibly tragic situation. I'm the father of a 9-month-old girl. It's unbelievable. I can't even imagine what it would be like to have that happen to your child, or God forbid, if you were a young woman, to have that happen to yourself.
And what's your solution? Is he going to give a solution?
That little girl was raped by an illegal immigrant, and both the media...
No, that's your... I'm sorry, that's unbelievable.
And Tim Ryan need to be honest about the fact that she would never have been raped in the first place if Tim Ryan had done his job on border security. So let's talk about the full picture.
Wait, hold up. Is my stream good? My screen went black for 1 second there. I thought is the stream all good?
And the full...
Also, thank you to John. Breaking. JD Vance spotted at Sephora stocking up eyeliner. Good one. Sue Fox. The stream is good. Sorry, that scared the shit out of me. Everything went black. All my screens, and I was like...
Slate of exceptions, absolutely. But let's not let the Democrats off the hook for letting these career criminals into our state to prey on our...
But to go back a second. So JD Vance is talking about the 10-year-old or the 11-year-old girl that was raped, and he says it's very sad. So I said, is he going to give a prescription? He describes the situation. Can he prescribe how we solve the situation? And the immediate thing that he does, man, he was Trumpian before Trump even knew who he was. He pivots to, well, I guess Trump probably endorsed him. He pivots to immigration. He says that it was an illegal immigrant. But the thing is, the only reason, I made a video about this the other day. The only reason that it would be scary is if immigrants are committing crimes at higher rates than native-born citizens, but they commit crimes at lower rates than native-born citizens. Let's do one more poll really quickly. Will Tim Walz say the word weird? Let me drop this poll in chat. We've been doing polls, getting your guys' probabilities on whether or not they'll say this. Will Tim Walz say the word weird? Check out that poll. You guys are very, very confident in this one. Do you guys think it'll get heated at all? Or no? Yes, it might get heated. It seems like JD Vance wants it to. JD Vance was trying to get heated in the clip that we were just watching. Let's watch a little bit more of JD Vance's last debate that he did. I'm seeing 91-9 right now. All right.
Our little girls in the first place.
Well, what are the full slate of exceptions?
Look, there are a number of different exceptions here. And here's the thing that I want to say here is you cannot say with total confidence what every single exception in every single case is going to be. And let me offer just a specific example here. So
that's a non-answer. That is a complete non-answer. He's asked a very specific question about abortion. See, that's what I'm saying. Very slippery guy.
In the first place, if Tim Ryan had done his job on border security. So let's talk about the full picture and the full slate of exceptions, absolutely. But let's not let the Democrats off the hook for letting these career criminals into our state to prey on our little girls in the first place.
Well, what are the full slate of exceptions?
Look, there are a number of different exceptions here. And
there are a number of different exceptions.
Here's the thing that I want to say here is you cannot say with total confidence what every single exception in every single case is going to be. And let me
what a non-answer.
Offer just a specific example here. So I know a lot of pro-life people. I know people who've been pro-life since before I was born. One of the things they will tell you is they support an exception in the case of incest, for example. I've heard a number of pro-life people say that. But an incest exception looks different at 3 weeks of pregnancy versus 39 weeks of pregnancy. So I actually don't think that you can say on a debate stage every single thing that you're going to vote for when it comes to an abortion piece of legislation. What I am willing to do, and what I think is a lot more helpful for voters who are actually listening to this, is to say, number one, what are my principles? My principles here are I want to save as many lives as possible, and I'd love to...
Okay, so he's well-spoken. He's no Donald Trump. Even if what he's saying is terrible, he's at least able to tie it together in a way that Trump can't. Yeah, that last answer was wild. So wild. If you guys missed it, he's talking about abortion, and then he pivots over to immigration like that. It's basically what Biden did, but Biden did it because he had a cold in the first debate, and he was like super out of it. and he was asked about abortion and started talking about immigration. That's what J.D. Vance did, but he's like half his age. Now, let's hear what Tim Walz says about abortion. We watched this 30 or 40 minutes ago. This is a clean answer. This is a clean answer from Tim Walz. And again, the game here, the name of the game is sound bites. How many sound bites can you get for TikTok, for Instagram, for Twitter, etc.?
Women to make their health care decisions. I don't believe anybody who sets in this.
Stiffen the penalties for those crimes that target women, such as carjacking and rape. But abortion clearly is not on the ballot in November.
Thank you, Dr.
Anything said to the contrary is just fear-mongering.
Thank you, Dr. Jensen. Governor Walz, you have 90 seconds.
That aged poorly. What happened?
Next, a look at the governor's race in
court overturned normal.
Now,
Trump about trusting women
Okay,
to make their health care decisions. I don't believe it.
Contrary is just fear-mongering.
Thank you, Dr. Jensen. Governor Walz, you have 90 seconds.
Well, there's a clear contrast here. My entire career, I've trusted women to make their health care decisions. I don't believe anybody who sits in this office should come between them. Scott was very clear in May. He mocked me and said, no kidding, Sherlock. I'm running for governor to get things done. We're going to ban abortion. That's not news. That changed after Roe versus Wade. And I think what most of us know, again, you heard this go to many different places. This is not about trusting women. It's not about holding clear convictions. It's about changing your positions as the winds blow. This is about life and death. This is about providers making the most personal decisions with a woman with nobody else in between them. I've made it very clear in every single thing I've done. I didn't have to practice 40 years of medicine to change the positions on women's health care in the final weeks once we saw how unpopular this was. So what I'd speak to Minnesotans on this, being governor means making hard decisions. Doesn't mean you're always going to get them right, but it means trusting Minnesotans. So let's just be very clear. The governors appoint Supreme Court justices who interpret cases and come from front of them. We heard Supreme Court justices go in front of the United States Senate and claim that there was no way Roe versus Wade would change because
people are saying in chat he sounds really good. He sounds like a pro. Very true. And what you have to remember is that this was 2 years ago. Tim Walz has had 2 years to no, this isn't the actual debate. This is 2 years ago. Tim Walz has had 2 years to refine his answers. I mean, Democrats as a whole have refined their abortion message, right? Someone said, I heard that he was a bad debater. I also read probably that same article. I read an article saying that Tim Walz, his weak spot is debating. And that's fine. Tim Walz is good at everything else. But listening to this, he's pretty good.
It was settled law. Well, fool us once. It's not going to happen here in Minnesota. I just want to be absolutely clear. This is on the ballot. It will impact generations to come. And I have been absolutely clear from the beginning of this. Not on our watch. I trust women. I trust them to make their own health care decisions.
Exactly.
Thank you, Governor Walz. Let's go to Stacey Steinhagen with Kate.
That is a perfect way to piggyback. I mean, this was 2 years ago, and that perfectly aligns with what Trump was saying recently about we need to protect women. We need to protect women. And then VP Harris said, you don't need to protect women. You need to trust them to make their own decisions. That is what that is what Tim Walz needs to say to JD Vance. Joe Biden, President Biden just posted, Coach, I got your back tonight. Tonight, America will see the strong, principled, and effective leader I've known for years, and the contrast you and Kamala provide against the other team. That is a clean picture of Tim Walz. I feel like people's their image gets a lot sharper when they're running for president. I don't know how to describe it, but Kamala Harris, maybe it's makeup or something, but he looks great in this photo. He looks great.
AEYC News Now.
Many of our viewers have reached out about the ongoing opioid crisis affecting communities big and small. According to the Minnesota Department of Health, nearly 13.
Let's see, education, healthcare costs.
Federal report shows
that agree that teachers are parents in
Minnesota's.
Oh, he's a teacher too. Let's hear about education. Like, I just don't see a reality where JD Vance is able to connect with American people more so than Tim Walz. When we talk about education, Tim Walz has firsthand experience. When we talk about Roe v. Wade, he has firsthand experience in his life with his wife. He has kids that, I mean, it's just, he can connect with American people so much more. Are we ready to rumble? Yeah.
Children succeed in schools. We start with Governor Walz.
What we've always done, that we prioritize them first. We fully fund our schools. We make sure they have the support. We make sure that our teachers, our parents, and our students and the support staff are there. I think we know before the pandemic and that there were things that we can do. Minnesota still ranks very near to the top. The pandemic did have it. If you conveniently forget that 1 million people died, the implications of trying to make those difficult decisions at those times. And most folks agree that those decisions save lives. With that being said, now is the time to reinvest and know what we learned. Our ability to be able to use different methods.
Someone said, I agree. WALZ has great instincts and charisma. Vance has zero riz and speaks like an AI. That is true. But you have to remember, he's going to be lawyer-like. The expectations should be this, as follows. J.D. Vance is going to be slippery, slimy, he's going to be speaking like a lawyer, and he's going to be not answering the questions straight up, but it's going to create good sound bites. Tim Walz is going to be honest, he's going to be affable, approachable, but I'm not sure he has the ability to go for the jugular in the same way that other people can. I mean, he's pretty chill and soft-spoken in these debates. And when we're watching this J.D. Vance one, there are a few times where he jumps in and tries to talk over his opponent, Tim Ryan. He jumps in and tries to say, oh, admit this. And I don't know if Tim Walz has that same instinct right now.
I know this as a lifelong educator.
The same go for the jugular instinct.
Myself, students learn at different levels. We've seen a lot during the pandemic. One of the things we saw great resiliency amongst these students. And now once we have them back in the classroom, we're doing new ways of making sure they're able to get content. I think one of the things Minnesota had the opportunity to put another $1 billion in to close the cross subsidy on special education. That deal died in May in the legislature, but we can come back and make that the case. We know in Minnesota that we see this in housing, we see it in health delivery, we see it in education. Our diversity issues on children of color, making sure that we close that gap. While Minnesota students of color do better than almost every other state, there's still a gap between white students. I think one of the biggest things we make sure that local control has the ability to be able in those school districts to make those decisions, and the state makes sure that we provide the promised resources to these incredibly important our most precious resource, our children, but also making sure we deliver that. We deliver it in a manner that the results that Minnesota parents want.
Thank you, Governor Walz. Dr. Jensen, you have 90 seconds.
I heard a lot of words there, but I don't quite know that they made a lot of sense. So I think Governor Walz said that people of color or students of color are doing better in Minnesota than they are in others. I'm not certain. But I would say this. When Governor Walz says we need to fully fund education, who knows what that means? I mean, we spend 150% of what an awful lot of states already spend per student. We spend more per student than any of the other neighboring Midwestern states. At some point,
I don't care what this guy has to say. I'm thinking of just live streaming the debate. I'm thinking of just YOLOing it and going for it. Okay, here's the thing. Everyone in chat is saying that J.D. Vance is socially inept. J.D. Vance has had a terrible campaign. And while all of this is true, watch some of these clips right here. Oh, January 6th. Let's see what J.D. Vance has to say regarding January 6th. While he is socially inept, he also just he's okay on stage, is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out if I should live stream.
House Select Committee held its last public hearing Thursday and voted unanimously to subpoena former President Donald Trump and documents he might have. The bipartisan committee made clear that Mr. Trump instigated the January 6th insurrection, the armed invasion of the U.S. Capitol building, to illegally keep Mr. Trump in power. I have two questions. Do you believe that Mr. Trump should honor the subpoena and publicly answer questions under oath from the committee? And two, secondly, in light of all of the evidence and testimony accumulated by the committee, was the January 6th insurrection an attack on American democracy?
Oh, I want to hear what he has
were the
to say.
Hundreds of insurrectionists just tourists visiting the Capitol, as Republican Congressman Andrew Clyde of Georgia contended? Congressman Ryan, you go first.
I think that President Trump should be afforded all of the rights that every other American citizen is afforded. He should respond to the subpoena. He should come clean. He should talk about, we know that there's been a call from the White House to somebody who was participating in the storming of the Capitol. We should know.
You have to remember, he's running in Ohio, so he can't come out fiery and say, oh, he's an insurrectionist. He's playing his cards right.
All this. And if he has nothing to hide, he should come clean, and we should figure out what's going on. And I do think that the insurrection was a group of people who were trying to overthrow the United States of America.
Yep.
And I think they were trying to stop the peaceful transition of power from President Trump to President Biden and disenfranchise over 80 million of our own fellow citizens. I think that's absolutely wrong. And the fact that JD literally raised money. Now, there were 140 cops, United States Capitol Police, that were beat upside the head with lead pipes, pepper sprayed.
This is a good answer, but I do want to hear what JD Vance has to say. Let's listen.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is what JD Vance says on January 6th. So he'll probably say something like this tonight.
States lead.
Mr. Trump honor the subpoena? And secondly, was this an attack on American democracy?
So look, I'm not going to pretend to give the President of the United States legal advice about whether he should honor the subpoena. I think it would probably be a pretty enlightening piece of testimony if he did honor the subpoena. But look, the January 6th committee has shown from the very beginning that it's not interested in the truth, that it's interested in a political hit job. And it goes back to 4 years ago, the obsession with the idea that Donald Trump somehow had the election stolen by the Russians. There's been a nonstop political effort to not honor the election of 2016. And I think that's just as much of a threat to democracy as the violence on January the 6th. Now,
That's not going to play well to the average voter. That's not a good answer. It's a weaselly answer, yeah.
6th, I've condemned the violence repeatedly. And Tim talks about absolutely some brave law enforcement officers who did their job and kept the Capitol safe. Of course, the Fraternal Order of Police has endorsed me because you have stabbed the police of this district and of this entire state in the back many, many times. That's why they've endorsed me. Why?
JD Vance from a decade ago would not believe that. He would not believe that at all. Let's see what's going on here.
VANCE. CBS News, which is hosting the debates, announced today that it will be up to the candidates to fact-check each other during Tuesday's debate. That's a stark difference from last month's presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. Fox's Lucas Tomlinson reports from the White House.
Vice President Harris has touted having support from both Democrats and Republicans during her White House run. Sunday, she picked up another GOP endorsement from former Arizona Senator Jeff Flake.
I'll be supporting Kamala Harris for president and Tim Walz for vice president. In times like these, there is nothing more conservative than putting country over party.
Harris was in Arizona on Friday, visiting with Border Patrol agents and talking immigration. And that's exactly where the Trump campaign would like her to be. It's an issue.
Okay, I have a fun game we should play now that we are almost an hour away. Get your Coke Zero ready. I don't have any Coke Zeros today. So I took some polls with you guys, but I want to ask you guys a question. What are some predictions that you guys have, something that they'll say regarding topics like immigration, abortion? I mean, with immigration, JD Vance will say border czar. Vance blah blah blah. True. Oh, goofy time. Great point. Vance will go for the stolen valor line. Dude, if he goes for that, I could see it getting heated. And the thing is, though, so that's a good one. The stolen valor line, I forgot about that. He's going to go for that. And the thing is, Tim Walz better have been trained to not bite when that happens. He can't bite. He can't bite on that. I mean, he can rebut, but eating the cats, I don't see that happening. JD Vance will look like a robot. They're not fact-checking it. The onus is going to be on each candidate to fact-check the other one. China. Vance will lie about the border. Yep. FEMA. Oh, yeah, of course. Vance will lie and say that Kamala and Biden weren't available for aid. I don't see the cats and dogs thing. I see a lot of people saying cats and dogs. They're going to talk about cats and dogs. There's no shot they're going to make that mistake a second time. There's no shot that JD Vance is going to double down on that. But unless what you are saying is that Tim Walz is going to call out Vance for sowing division and fear in his home state. So the question is, what kind of leader divides people in their own state to get ahead personally. Something like that. Like, that's literally what he did. That's genuinely what he did. I missed some chats, so if you had something that I missed, drop it. Combat correspondent is a real job, I swear. Yeah. It's hard to say what Vance will say. Yeah, he's going to go for the stolen valor thing. Ukraine, I think Ukraine is a slam dunk topic when it comes to Republicans, because it's so easy to explain to them that that is how you put America's interests first, funding Ukraine. And J.D. Vance knows that. I can guarantee, I would bet money on a deep down level, J.D. Vance knows that funding Ukraine is how you protect America's interests, but he's playing this long game. Pete Buttigieg has this line where he always says, J.D. Vance knows better. He knows better. And I think that is a perfect way of saying it, because we know that he used to be pro-trans, pro-immigration, all of this stuff. So he knows better to some level. Yeah, Vance will say, fundamentally, Vance will wear mascara in addition to eyeliner. This is gonna be a hot take here, but I don't think it's eyeliner at this point. I've seen pictures of him going years back. I think that's just how his eyes are. WALZ will make a couch pun. We already did that earlier. And, or we already talked about that earlier. Everyone unanimously said, like 99% of people said, no, the couch thing won't happen. I don't see the couch thing happening. Do you think WALZ will call Vance weird? I did a poll on this. 91% said yes. 9% said no. I don't think he'll outright call him weird. Here's the thing. There's a lot of low blows that have been going on that I don't think will translate well to the debate stage. A great example is the couch thing. The couch thing is a very funny meme online. It's very funny to sprinkle hints about the couch stuff, but I don't think that's something you should introduce to an actual debate stage. I don't think that's a good idea. Call him weird if that's appropriate. Yep, that's a great point. Siobhan. That's a great point. Because, like, if J.D. Vance is talking about... Oh, you know what would be a really good point? Wendy Gibson said, will Tim Walz bring up that J.D. Vance admitted he created pets being eaten to get media attention? Yep, I can say confidently, I think that will be brought up. This is a man, quote, this is a man who said that you can create stories. Come on, folks. And Tim Walz better do that thing. This is the soundbite Tim Walz needs. Let me type this down just because we can look back at it after. This is the soundbite that Walz needs. It's something that he says a lot. I can't remember the exact way he words it, but he's like, these are people who want to be in your bedroom, be in your doctor's office, get in the way of your day-to-day life, and that is weird. That's something you could say. That's appropriate, I think. And that's something he says all the time. You guys have heard him say something to that effect, right? Like, these are people who want to be in your bedroom, folks. They want to be in your doctor's office. They want to get in the way of your day-to-day life. And then he can call them weird off the back of that. I think that'll be better. Kerry, that's a bold prediction, Kerry Schultz. I think Vance will say weird. He'll be the one to mention it. And then that leaves the opening for Tim Walz to go off that. Thank you, Legend of Society. Will Hurricane be negative or positive on the Harris ticket? I don't think anyone quite knows. I don't know if it'll affect anything much. Donald Trump has been lying a lot about it. He's convinced MAGA that Biden just doesn't care. Biden has corrected it. Weird policies, yep. Oh yeah, be in your wallet. Yep, that's exactly what he says. Tim Walz has like a rehearsed thing that he says about that. I think Tim Walz will bring up Vance admitting that he wouldn't do what Pence did and would instead call for the states to bring an alternate slate. That's a great point, Ebron Cardona. I absolutely agree. Tim Walz needs to mention that J.D. Vance... You know, Tim Walz needs to paint this picture of J.D. Vance as somebody, like, just broadly stepping back. Tim Walz needs to paint this picture of J.D. Vance as an opportunist who has no principles other than grabbing power through the MAGA movement. I can't spell any of these words right. I'm just typing really quickly, trying to get this out. But no, this is true. Tim Walz needs to paint J.D. Vance as an opportunist who has no principles other than grabbing power through the MAGA movement. And then, off the back of that, he can mention specifically, what was I typing right here? He can mention specifically that J.D. Vance you just described him accurately, yep. Kamala's pre-debate war room. The border bill. Yep. Called Trump Hitler. That might be... There are a lot of comments that J.D. Vance has made. I don't know if the Hitler one should be good. Did you do a poll on it? The fly will return. Love what you do. Thank you, agent. It'd be funny if it was the exact same fly. 1 second. J.D. Vance will bring up the assassination attempts. Yep. J.D. Vance will call Democrats divisive, and then in the next breath, J.D. Vance will say that Kamala Harris is a Marxist. Let me see what CBS is talking about.
The moderators, our own Nora O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan, here in New York at the CBS News Broadcast Center. Tonight is likely to be the last chance for each campaign to make their case on a debate stage. Enthusiasm right now for the Democrats seems to be on the Democrats' side. A CBS News poll finds Democrats are more enthusiastic about having Governor Walz on the ticket than Republicans are about Senator Vance. That is 65 to 49%.
Yep.
Tonight's lineup testifies to the twists in this race. Senator Vance was chosen to run by former President Trump against a totally different Democratic ticket. And before July, Governor Walz expected he'd be watching his new boss, Kamala Harris, behind the lectern where he now stands.
Watch this. I love this segment.
Oy vey when it comes to J.D. Vance. Oy vey, this is the net favorable ratings. Look at that, minus 11 points for J.D. Vance. No bueno. Let's jump to the other side of the screen. Tim Walz, look at that, a +4 net favorability rating, the highest of any of these four folks on the screen right now. The Democrats better liked than the Republicans, but Walz slightly better liked than Kamala Harris. J.D. Vance has actually, if anything, been a drag on the Republican side of the ticket, while Tim Walz has actually, if anything, helped Kamala Harris up a little bit. But the bottom line is here, this is a negative 11 points, no good. This +4 points, pretty good in today's polarized environment.
Well, okay, so polarized environment is the thing I want to hit on here. One, J.D. Vance is giving you the stink eye over your shoulder for your assessment here.
Ugh.
Two, in terms of historical perspective, where does that favorability rating stand?
Again, not good. This is something I've been harping on throughout this entire cycle. So this is VP nominees with a net negative favorable rating going into their first vice presidential debate. J.D. Vance here at minus 11 points, the worst all time going into their first VP debate. The only other person in negative net favorability territory is Dan Quayle back in 1988 with a minus 3-point net favorability rating. If you know anything about VPs and the way that folks view them, you do not want to be in the company of Dan Quayle. J.D. Vance is in the company, is actually in a worse position going into his first debate than, of course, Dan Quayle was going into his first debate in
less liked than Dan Quayle. So our pre-debate show has been pretty good. We hosted our own debate with J.D. Vance and Tim Walz by watching their old clips. We still have more to go because the debate is in less than an hour.
Roe v. Wade, no longer guaranteeing women the right to an abortion nationwide, leaving it up to states. Our station's right on the board.
What time does it start? In about 55 minutes. Yeah, this is bad. This is bad for J.D. Vance. So the thing is about this debate, J.D. Vance has a lot more upside than... J.D. Vance has a lot more upside than Tim Walz. Tim Walz is already historically liked. He's the most popular person out of both tickets. J.D. Vance has a lot to prove here. He has only upside.
1988, and of course that debate did not go very well as he ran into the buzzsaw known as Lloyd Benson.
Yes, the buzzsaw Lloyd Benson. If favorability is the bad news for J.D. Vance, is there good news for J.D. Vance?
Yeah, expectations. I think the expectations game. I know there's some folks who think that J.D. Vance is a good debater, obviously a very smart guy coming into this debate, and Tim Walz, perhaps you know, the country guy coming from the great state of Minnesota. But who do bettors think will win the first debate? In fact, They believe that Tim Walz is the favorite going into this first debate. J.D. Vance is actually the underdog, at least who the bettors think will win in those post-debate polls that we'll obviously get later on. So the bottom line is J.D. Vance not very well liked going into this first debate, but he really has nothing to lose because he's already the least liked VP nominee going into his first debate. I mean, 72. You can't get worse than last. So
you guys are tweaking me out. I just saw 3 people in chat say it's on, it's on. It starts in 53 minutes though. 53 minutes. Let me do a poll in chat and ask you guys this. Let me lay the context. Start a poll. Do I take the copyright risk and live stream the debate? There's a small chance that CBS would be kind of an asshole and strike my channel, which would hurt a lot and mess me up for a bit. But I could watch the debate with you guys. It's long-term or short-term pain versus, oh, you guys are 50-50 split. That's not very helpful. No, I mean, either way, it's understandable. What's the risk that CBS would do a copyright strike on my stream? And then it could either take, I could either not be able to live stream or post or not get any sort of revenue for a bit, which would hurt. Don't risk it. Don't risk it. Do it like last time. Last time I hated it. The last debate, I was watching the screen, but there was no actual debate, so it was very awkward. Or it wasn't awkward, but it was just, it felt like I was sitting here in silence. Not worth it? Okay, no is winning. No is winning, so I might not. But let's see what CBS is saying.
You're looking ahead and saying, based on my conversations with his advisors, there's a movement there he could become the standard bearer of down the line. Trumpism is looking for somebody to take it over whenever former President Trump leaves the stage. Maybe
don't risk it. Yeah, it's kind of a short-term thought process, right? It's very short-sighted of me to do one fun night and risk months of future videos, right? That's very short-sighted.
This is his chance to solidify his standing inside the Republican Party.
Nancy, people like me used to say, you know, presidential debates, they don't matter much. And then we had a presidential debate that mattered quite a lot in this. Yes. So vice presidential debates haven't changed races before, but could this be different? If so, how does it fit into the politics of this race?
I think we've got to change that conventional wisdom this time around that vice presidential debates don't matter.
Micah, that's very true. It seems more important than it is. Yeah. It seems like it's this massive tentpole event, but you have to be a straight-up nerd like us to be paying attention.
And that's because typically you've got 3 presidential debates that you can watch that voters at home can use to form an opinion. This time around, there's only one between Harris and Trump. It's always possible there could be another one. It doesn't sound like that right now. And so this debate takes on added importance. It's probably...
Deborah said, Adam, you are too honest. Why is that exactly what Donald Trump said to Mike Pence a few years back?
The last debate before voters go to the polls. Some of them are already casting their ballots. And so, what these candidates tonight say matters, especially because these are 2 relative newcomers on the national scene. Obviously, folks in Minnesota know Governor WALZ very well. He's a 2-term governor. He was a 6-term member of Congress. But voters nationwide had no idea that he was going to even be needed on the ticket. They thought it was going to be Biden and Harris until this summer. And then you've got J.D. Vance. You know,
sewing,
yes, he
not
wrote
sewing. I spelled sewing wrong, my bad.
Hillbilly Elegy. But he only became a senator a couple of years ago. And so there's a lot that voters still want to learn about these 2 men, at least according to our polling.
It's a tricky thing to introduce yourself to.
It's a tricky thing to introduce yourself to the nation. Exactly. Let's see what CNN is saying live about the debate. Also, man, what's going on in the Middle East is wild. That's for another video. Tonight's showdown. The VP candidates. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. What's up, Midas Cheryl? Thanks for being here. Thank you for the membership. Not worth what it would cost you. Vance said he'll fight for the little guy. He meant Peter Thiel. Yeah. I streamed the DNC. Yeah, but that was different. Vance will be thinking, am I nailing this interaction? Vance will be thinking the whole time, am I pleasing Daddy Trump? Tonight's showdown. Vice presidential candidates J.D. Vance and Tim Walz are preparing to face off in their first and only debate. The stakes are high as the Republican and Democratic campaigns race to make their pitch with just 5 weeks until Election Day. So again, the common knowledge is that VP debates don't mean anything, but if you think about it from a broader lens, this is a brand new ticket. They got introduced to the world 70 days ago, roughly. So Tim Walz needs to introduce himself, but JD Vance has a lot to gain. Right now, JD Vance is underwater 11 points in his favorability, and the whole name of the game for JD Vance is to improve his favorability rating. The name of the game for Tim Walz is to get sound bites that can improve and turn out votes. M. West. Maybe stop saying he's a lawyer. Yes, he was said to have graduated Ohio school, but there's no evidence he took the bar and practiced law. I think JD Vance was a lawyer. I don't think he ever argued in court, though. But I do think that he studied law. But I mean, that's not gonna it's not gonna really affect his debate ability. But I do think my worry is that people are underestimating JD Vance. I've seen people on Twitter and on TikTok say that JD Vance is gonna like basically piss his pants on stage. And I'm just here to say that he knows how to slime his way around an interaction. He knows how to be slippery. Debate rules. There will be 90 minutes of debate time, and the candidate who is asked a question will have 2 minutes to answer, and the other candidate will have 2 minutes to respond. The network says it reserves the right to mute the candidate's debates. He's an opportunist. Yeah, no, he was never like a practicing attorney, though. Middle East tensions loom over the campaign. That is the thing. Tim Walz is going to need to have a clean answer for this. Mobile Decay said Walz is going to lie and Tim isn't going to lie, so Tim will win. In a normal reality, yeah, that is how it would work in a normal reality. But I mean, we've seen from other debates that Donald Trump can have the unfettered ability to lie, and some people will eat it up if it speaks to their innermost terrible characteristics. Like, for example, when he lied about the cats and dogs thing, I follow people who are apolitical and they thought that was real. Julie Konya, Adam's birthday is October 3rd. Close. My birthday is tomorrow. I turned 22. Let's go, baby. All I want for my birthday are a few things. Turn out and vote. That's honestly all I want. Turn out and vote. And I want Tim Walz to crush JD Vance. I want those two things. Happy early birthday. Thank you, y'all. It's going to be a fun day tomorrow. Shillbilly eulogy. With voting already underway in several states, could you share the scan code for fact-checking? I didn't hear about that. Let me find it. You guys are the best. Thank you. Thank you. We'll make some birthday special videos tomorrow. Maybe a Trump supporter debate special where I go through some of my best debate moments like I did a few weeks ago. There's a fact check QR code. Let me find this. Boom, boom. Happy birthday. Thank you. Hell yeah. 22 is going to feel probably the same as 21. CBS will be fact checking online if you visit this. Why is this QR code so hard to find? Will CBS be fact-checking the debate? Oh, the code will appear on CBS. Okay, so I don't have to share it with you guys. Let's do some more polls about what people will say. Here's what we can expect. It should help calm your nerves if we set some expectations for this. Gifted membership. Thank you so much. Midas Cheryl, thank you. Fellow Libra, I turned 56 on the 27th. October 7th, CJ Connor. Happy early birthday. Happy early birthday to all the Octobers. Thank you so much. All right. Let's go back to our predictions for this. Here's what you guys said. Will Tim Walz say the words Project 2025? We have a lot of Octobers in here. October 17th, says Christopher. Deborah, October 23rd. Happy early birthday. October 24th. Heather, the Feather, turns 57 tomorrow. We have the same birthday. Oh, Rarely R, happy birthday. Sorry if I missed your chat earlier. Rarely R, everyone wish Rarely a happy birthday. On the 15th, the 17th, Lord have mercy. What is up? Why are we all Libras? I want to be inclusive, so shout out to all the November birthdays too. September, baby. Okay, so here's what we said together. Will Tim Walz say the words Project 2025? Overwhelmingly, you guys said yes, 95%, and I think that makes sense. I think that would be very smart for him to do. It's almost inevitable. It would almost be dumb if Tim Walz doesn't say Project 2025. Sorry, Tim Walz, but if you don't drop those words, that would almost be a miscalculation on the campaign's part to not take this limelight to say it. So that is just an easy yes. Thank you so much, Mickey. You guys are the best. Also, happy birthday to Jimmy Carter. How could I have forgotten? Your son's birthday is 10/03. We've got a lot of Libras in here. Okay, will Tim Walz bring up the childless cat lady comments? 76% said yes. 24% said no, and my answer was I think it's context dependent. I think if they're talking about childcare, or if JD Vance says something to the effect of "we're the best ticket for women," then I think you bring that up and you talk about abortion, childless cat lady. 1027 here, Wendell. Happy early birthday, Cookie. Happy early birthday to all these birthdays. I think I missed a few chats. Kay Lingle said mention me. Okay, you guys were divided on this one. Will JD Vance say the word tampon? You guys were 50-50 on this. I think that's too far. On immigration, JD Vance will say borders are. 1 out of 12 of your viewers is a Libra thing. It's a mathy thing. That is true, yeah. It feels like everybody's birthday is this year. That's what it does feel like. It feels like everybody is having their birthday this year. This is the soundbite that Walz needs. These are the people who want to be in your bedroom. These are the people who want to be in your doctor's office, in your wallets. They want to get in the way of your day-to-day life, and that is weird. Someone said JD Vance isn't as baitable. Yeah, that is my exact point. Don't expect JD Vance to get baited into some sort of meltdown. July 9th. You guys are funny. But Tim Walz needs to paint this picture of JD Vance as a cynical opportunist who has no principles and is just grabbing power through MAGA. Thank you, Lori, for the happy early birthday. I appreciate it. You guys are the best. 1 second. Really quickly, let's see what CBS
People with development.
State of Minnesota, but it's also a mindset they want him to keep. Be himself, that folksy, plain-spoken governor that has earned quick attention and over the last 56 days become the Democratic running mate. The idea being that if he can talk about defending the Harris agenda, talk about what he's done as governor, keep it nice, hope.
Adam, is weed legal in your state? It depends. I go to college in Chicago. I spend a lot of my time in Chicago. So yeah, in Illinois, but right now I'm in Indiana. And no, not in Indiana.
Hopefully it works. Notably, he's been rehearsing for tonight's debate alongside the Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg.
Let's hear what this Diva. After the opening statements, Walz needs to look Vance straight in the face and say, "I hope you are willing to apologize for saying my running mate, the Vice President of the United States, can go to hell." He needs to do something like that, but that's a little bit too adversarial off the bat. We have some good strategies written down here. If you can paint JD Vance, this broader picture of JD Vance and Donald Trump wanting to get in your doctor's office, get in your bedroom, that JD Vance is a cynical opportunist who has flip-flopped. The America's Hitler thing, maybe don't say that. That's pretty inflammatory. But I do think you could say something to the effect of, this man called Trump cultural heroin. He understands the threat that Trump poses. This is some good stuff. By the way, thank you guys all for being here. I need to start live streaming. What if we do a live stream every day leading into the election? So the election is on the 5th. That means starting October 5th, we do like a 1 hour live stream every single day. That would be a fun ass habit to get into. Not only a 1 hour live stream, but we pull MAGA in to debate them. I don't know, just do research on Project 2025 and talk about polling. That's something that I'm such a nerd over, is polling. You guys are all down for that? I know a lot of people get mad when I pull this up, but this is the current 538 model. It uses polling, economic, and demographic data to explore likely outcomes, and it's a coin flip right now. Will they shake hands? I bet they will. I bet they will. Here's the thing. JD Vance is a pretty nice person. JD Vance is a pretty nice person, actually. I know it doesn't seem like it. I know he's awkward as hell, but I've seen him in situations. He wants to be liked. He needs to be liked by people, so he's gonna shake hands. Monte Carlo is most realistic. 3K watching. Yeah, I love all of you guys. I don't think Vance will go for it. I think he will. Oh yeah, people get mad when I say it. People get mad when I say it. I'm not saying JD Vance is a good person. He's morally reprehensible, but JD Vance wants to be liked, so he has this fake persona of niceness, is what I'm saying. He's gonna walk up, he's gonna give a handshake, he's gonna say something nice, not because he's a good person, but because he has this persona. You guys have seen it in the videos. But the thing is, that's confusing me, Harris has a 56% chance of winning, but if you look at the polls over here on the right, there's not one poll with Trump ahead. I see Harris +4, I see Harris +5, +5, +3, +6, +2, +4, +5, +7. And I'm not going to lie, guys, I'm getting pretty worried about the election. It should not be this close. Is anybody else getting kind of worried about election day? I very much so see a reality where we're all a little bit shocked and Pennsylvania goes red by 0.5 percentage point and we're all sitting there freaking out. Yep, it matters more about swing states. You are totally right. KJ, the KJ, I totally agree, and it's been blowing my mind. It should not be this close. It blows my mind that it's this close. Donald Trump can go out and say we should murder all immigrants in one go, and Kamala Harris can say we should give everyone health care, and it'll still be 50-50. Someone said, I don't think it's close. I don't think it's close. It is. It's going to be very, very close, y'all. It's going to be down to the wire. Like, look at this. Where did the model just go? Look at this model. All models show it as a coin flip right now. Even if we go to the Economist election forecast, we can't be complacent. Brian Shalito is not worried. I am not comfortable. Yeah, I'm not comfortable. Even this forecast from the Economist, look it could not be closer. It could not be closer. 276 to 262. It genuinely could not be closer. That is where they fall in the average when they run simulations. Pull the chat. Okay. Are you nervous about November 5th? I mean, it's an obvious answer, right? Yes or no, I'm confident. If Bill Maher were in chat, Bill Maher would be saying he's confident. Bill Maher has been saying for the past few weeks. Bill Maher has been saying for weeks, oh, she's got it in the bag. So is James Carville.
The Southeast here in the...
Our plans to I do want to anything.
Step for about a Republican Rika hurricane. And all of this is so classless and so expected. It doesn't even... I used to get mad at this kind of stuff. I no longer get mad. What else can he say? He gets contradicted by the Republican governor of Georgia. This is just expected. I mean, I think the guy is really diminished. And by the way, if the vice president was born that way, why did she beat him 100-0 in a debate? He can't be very smart if she was born impaired and wiped the floor with him.
Very good point. Tea leaf, free leaf, that's the exact point that I think people might miss. The popular vote won't be close, but the Electoral College is. The popular vote does not elect the president. So yeah, when we're looking at a lot of these polls, these are national polls that show VP Harris up 4, up 5, but Republicans have an inherent advantage in the Electoral College, number one. Number two, these swing states are all purple. Pennsylvania is a coin flip right now. And Kamala Harris is underwater with white working class men. I'm just worried that Trump might win this thing. Slightly worried. Hillary had the popular vote. Are we watching together? Probably not.
At the ABC debate. So I think at some point we're just going to have to start taking these pictures and letting them go by, because I don't think they're particularly effective.
In our CNN poll of polls, the latest one, Kamala Harris has a slight lead over Trump, 50 to 47%, but she lags behind Biden's performance with many key parts of the 2020 Democratic coalition. So how big of a problem potentially is this for Kamala Harris?
Well, I would rather answer it this way. It's a big opportunity because she has some upward movement to get as people get to know her better. People know President Biden very well. They've formed very definitive judgments about him. And I think the vice president is still a work in progress. But the good news, she's got 5 weeks to go to do that. So I actually kind of find this mildly encouraging. If she's 3 points ahead and she's still pretty unknown, that tells me that there's room to grow here.
But is 5 weeks too short a time?
Boy, so it's the time you got. Whether it's too short or too long, the one thing.
I love Carville. He is amazing. I'd love to have Carville on my show. I'm manifesting it right now. Carville is going to be on my show. How old is he? 79. Okay, I have time.
We're going to go to post.
I can't stand Carville. Oh, you guys don't like him? I think he's funny. I think he's kind of an asshole, but I think he's funny.
Judge, both Midwesterners. That holds some appeal. Which one holds greater appeal? We'll find out, but they're spending a lot of time down from Fayette County all the way up to Erie County.
Catherine, thank you so much.
Which was the county, by the way, that determined the winner in the last 2 presidential
elections. Yeah, that's what I think too. Him being an asshole is like largely an act. I think he's funny. Wow, you guys, someone said he's trash. He's a woman hater. I don't think so.
So Western Pennsylvania.
I know he's a little bit rough on the edges.
Is just as important as the eastern part of the state, but you really need a different kind of campaign in Pennsylvania, depending on where you are geographically. Cecilia?
All right, John, thank you so much. I want to bring Bob back in because I know you have been to Pennsylvania. You have been all over the campaign trail. I want you to help.
It's so impressive how CBS has this huge studio and their coverage is so boring. Not to be an asshole, but I feel like we're doing more fun stuff over here, like mapping out the debate and interacting. It's just very robotic.
Help us understand.
It's like watching the Suits. You're just watching the establishment almost.
Some of the messaging that is coming out of the Trump team right now. The former president seems to have gotten a lot darker in his messaging from the campaign trail in recent days.
Some people in chat who don't like Carville hate Carville. Wow. Jumped over here from CVS. Hell yeah. I'm interactive and fun. Thank you. I appreciate that.
We often try to dissect this.
They have their utility too. Having experts on is great, but we can defer to the experts here. We can look at the polling models. And what was I going to do? I was going to look at the specific polls in Pennsylvania. So this is not national polling. This is the swing state of Pennsylvania. Trump +1, Trump +3, Trump +6, Harris +6, Harris +4, Trump +1. Man, I'm getting nervous about election day. I know that most people are pretty confident or whatever, but I think that's a mistake. I think that we need to look at 2016, not get confident. And here's how I look at it. Donald Trump has had 10 years to campaign throughout American politics. No, he's been campaigning since 2015, 2016. Dude's been campaigning for 10 years. And Kamala Harris has had 100 days to recreate that same national campaign. So that is my main worry. Bringing in Jack, friend of the show, Jack, for a quick segment. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing well. I'm very confident in the debate. I'm honestly not nervous at all. Not only do I think that this debate doesn't matter that much, I mean, it's going to have some effect due to the fact that there are no more presidential debates, most likely, but I don't think it's going to have a massive effect.
So that's something that I wanted to talk to you about, the no presidential debates thing. I posted a tweet a couple of days ago, and it's a bold prediction. There will be another presidential debate October 15th on Fox. Do you think that there is some slight chance left that Trump says, do you know what? I canceled the 60 Minutes interview. I saw Vance tank tonight. I have to make sure that I get one more word in because my campaign is spiraling and collapsing even more. Last ditch effort, propose something last minute on Fox. Maybe? I don't know. That's kind of how I feel.
I think that Trump can't resist it. Oh, 1 second. Let me fix you on my screen. I think that Trump can't resist it. How do I get this? 1 second.
We're working it out here.
That's what I'm looking for. I think that Kamala should. She should do a Fox News debate. I think that would be smart. She's pretty good on stage. She's clever. She's great. Donald Trump is losing his mind. He's old. The more that you can get them side by side, the better. I think Kamala Harris would be smart to take it if it's Brett Baer.
Yes,
Brett
and
Baer
I think that's the only way they would do it.
Yeah,
because Brett Baer.
Yeah, I hate to be charitable, but I think out of all the Fox News hosts, he can be relatively decent sometimes.
And even if there hadn't been corrections to Trump in fact checks during the ABC debate, I think it would have gone over the same exact way. Of course, him being fact checked by David Muir was incredible. It's the journalistic standard we should hold any debate to. But I just feel like even without that, even without the built-in fact check, still feel like she'd do a great job. Going on Fox shows that she's not scared. Of course she's not scared. He's the one who is. But I still feel it. I still feel it's very much a possibility. And if he did it last minute, I feel like it would have to be announced like 5 days before it happened. I don't know what type of security detail or programming would have to go into that, but I feel like he might try to do it last minute so that he can say, oh, if it doesn't happen because the network can't schedule it or whatever it may be, pretend like, oh, she doesn't want to debate me. But I feel like Kamala Harris would absolutely jump at the idea. I feel like she would debate every night to the end of the election if she could.
That would be so much good content. I think that Trump should do it. I think that Trump's going to be playing games. He's going to turn it into a game, as you're saying. That he's going to try to manipulate Fox into giving him favorable conditions. He was already doing that. He was saying he won't do one with Brett Baer. He'll only do one with Jesse Waters. And honestly, that's not a debate that VP Harris should take. That's more of a trap where she's going to be asked about crime rates and stuff that doesn't exist. I think Brett Baer is able to maybe chill himself out a little bit more. And yeah, let's talk about some of our predictions for the debate. Now, we've done this for the past few debates. We've done the same thing where we type out what we think is going to happen. And let me just catch you up on what we've been doing here on my stream.
Oh, I've been listening. I've been watching.
Listening?
But let's for the viewers who are new. What do you think? You're going to be streaming and I'm not going to be checking it out?
I polled them and I said, will Tim Walz say Project 2025? Obviously, yes. It would be a miscalculation if he didn't. That was the easy one. Will Tim Walz bring up the childless cat lady comments? What do you think?
Will he bring it up? No. Will the moderators bring it up? Absolutely. I don't feel like it's going to be a part of Tim Walz's opening statement. I feel like part of the contrast that they're going to want to make tonight, and a lot of what I'm hearing from commentators about their expectation of a performance out of J.D. Vance is that, you know, he went to Yale Law School. He's a smart, I'm going to put lots of quotes on that, smart guy. And so he's going to try to prosecute this case. As you can hear, the ambulance is outside. Those are going in advance, knowing that Tim Walz is actually absolutely going to kill it tonight.
Yeah,
that's why you can hear those. Also, it's New York City, so it's loud. But I feel like even if JD Vance is doing his lawyer shtick, his debate thing, really just trying to twist words, what we'll ultimately get out of that is how we already feel about JD Vance, is that he's kind of like a schemy, weird, talk about like a perfect connection to Project 2025, just kind of makes us all uncomfortable type of guy. And so I feel like that is going to be how it plays out. And gosh, I got off track from your original question, but will Tim Walz do that? Will he bring the comment up first? No, I think he's going to let JD Vance set his own traps. I think he's just going to present himself as the regular guy he is, wanting to talk about the issues. That's been our focus. And so JD Vance is going to cause his own problems. I don't think Tim Walz has to worry about that.
Yep, I was saying I think it's context dependent. I think if JD Vance starts going on a rant about how this is the best ticket for women and that he is the best for childcare or whatever, if JD Vance starts saying that, then Tim Walz should bring it up. Like, aren't you the guy that said X, X, and X? And then, yeah, I also think this will be a... I'm literally getting texts from the Harris campaign. Are you signed up for these Harris campaign texts? Because they are relentless.
I do,
and I want to ask...
I want to ask everyone watching right now. So I think the first text, or one of the first texts that I got from the new number that they sent me, was the one where it was still the Biden campaign, and it was Robert De Niro texting. And so every time that I get a text from Kamala Harris, it says maybe Robert. Because when you like first have a new contact, so mine is all messed up. So I always get texts from Robert De Niro asking for money for Kamala Harris.
I already have reoccurring donations set up, and every time I try to block the number, they text me from a new number. And the way they do it, not to use the word desperate like Trump is, but they do it in all caps, and they'll be like, "We're so down," or like this ship is sinking. And I wake up at like midnight, and there's like 3 texts about how the ship is sinking. I'm like, man, stop texting me like this. None can be worse than Trump's though. He tries to create a personal bond. Like I think he texted one where it's like, "What are you wearing?" or something like that. Like, "What do you have on?" or something at like midnight. There's some weird, yeah, crazy stuff. But okay, next.
Oh man. They are like that. It's always like, why do you hate me? Like, why do you want to destroy America?
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah. Obviously, they're going to talk about Iran and Israel. Obviously,
Yes.
JD Vance is going to do the border czar thing. I think Vance will go for the stolen valor thing. And I hope
Really?
Tim Walz has a good... I think that he might go for it, even though I think it would be a miscalculation. He's been harping on that a lot. I think that Tim Walz will have a good way to come back. It's going to be very interesting, and I'm worried if... So they're playing 2 different games right now. JD Vance is playing a game where he is down -11 in his favorability ratings, and he's trying to play catch-up and at least get to -7, -5. And Tim Walz is playing a game where he's trying to mobilize people with sound bites. He's trying to show that JD Vance is terrible for women. JD Vance is terrible for Muslim Americans, et cetera, et cetera. So I think they're playing different games right now, and I think that it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, it will be interesting to think about as we're heading into this, minutes away at this point, what JD Vance is actually out there trying to do. Like, is he trying to start a fight with Tim Walz tonight? Is he just trying to lie on behalf of Donald Trump? Like, what is the best case scenario for JD Vance? Because it's not about JD Vance. He's not going to fix his popularity tonight. He has no charisma. He's got no political talent. No one's going to come out of this liking him. And so is his goal to instigate something with Tim Walz? I say no. Is it to lie on behalf of Donald Trump in some new way? I guess. Do they want to set the media narrative for the next couple of days to still be about immigration? Will he bring up the cats and dogs? I think he'll be asked about that, right? The fact that he made it up and admitted to making it up.
And that is something that Tim Walz should definitely harp on. It's like, hey, man, you're supposed to be a leader, but you divided your own state of Ohio. When I say this all the time on my show, but there were Democratic sheriffs, Democratic mayors in Ohio that came out and said, yeah, we do have problems on the ground. Problems do arise when new people move here with infrastructure, with assimilation. But JD Vance and Donald Trump are manufacturing a national problem that doesn't exist. They are creating stories in every sense of the words, as JD Vance says. And yeah, it's insane. And I think you can harp on how JD Vance is not only a terrible leader, but he's sucking up to somebody who shows all of the qualities that are like the antithesis of good leadership. Donald Trump is like self-absorbed, a narcissist. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we talk so much about all the former Republicans or Republican officials in Donald Trump's administration that came out against him. But I think it's just as important. And it's such a great example to point to the Republican mayor of Springfield, or we see Republicans in Colorado saying that Donald Trump's comments about Aurora are putting people in danger. It's not just former Republicans who saw him in the White House. It's current Republicans who are being impacted by him. And I think it's important to remember the damage that Donald Trump causes, the political damage he causes, to be a rolling effect. It's not like he just left the White House and it was over. He tried to torpedo and did torpedo the bipartisan border deal. He's creating political violence in these communities across the country. He continues to cause political violence. We can look at Paul Pelosi, and it's so his effect keeps rolling over in our lives, even if he's not president. And of course, we don't want to return to the time when he was. And I talked about this a lot on my show, that imagine what Donald Trump would be doing to perpetuate this lie in Springfield if he was president. I'm sure he would send the National Guard in. He would, set some giant press conference or emergency, and it'd be the words of a sitting president talking about this. And just imagine the danger that would create in that community. This is someone who does whatever he possibly can to stick to his lies, to make sure he pushes them as far as they can possibly go. And I think that's the type of stuff that we have to continue to remember, especially talking in the present tense about the Republicans who are now coming out against him.
That is very, very well said. I also think Tim Walz needs to do that whole line that he always says. It's something to the effect of, they're in your bedroom, they want to be in your doctor's office, your wallet. He says something to that effect, and it's very powerful. And if he can get that soundbite of him saying that on stage, and JD Vance responding, someone in chat is saying, cool sweater, Adam, I can't see all of it. This is actually something I sell on AdamMockler.com. Not to plug it, but this is my favorite design. Look how clean it came out. Yeah, go buy a Kamala for president. Big cat energy, and then say it to my face. That's probably my favorite piece of merch that came out from our new drop. Let me let me pull this up. Yeah. I haven't actually officially plugged this because it's all pretty new.
Adam is also really selling a coin and a cryptocurrency.
The new coin for $150,000. This Rosie the Riveter one is the favorite. You guys can use code. Let me drop the code. There's a few
code
codes.
Jack.
Yeah, not code Mockler, just my last name Mockler, and you get 15% off. I can make it 20% off too after the stream if you guys pull. But this is the cleanest one, especially the. Wait, where did my webcam go? Oh, okay, there it is. Especially the big cat energy right here.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but okay, back to the presidential debate. Enough
waiting for mine. Waiting for mine to be sent. Oh,
I can send
tonight,
you anything.
Speaking of which, of gifts, tonight's a big night. Tomorrow.
Oh, it's both of our birthdays. Yeah, we have the same birthday, which is wild.
It's both of our birthdays. What time were you born? I guess we shouldn't give this. I think it's fine to give this information away. I don't have it
it's
registered.
It's not like your social security number. I think 315. I don't know. Honestly, I haven't asked my mom. Yeah, I asked my mom for a school project like a decade ago, and I can't remember now.
You're older than me. Terrible. Couple of hours. You're beating me.
Yeah,
they're funny, though. So happy early birthday, man.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, we're both turning 22. We were born on the same day. We were both. The chat is going crazy. They love it. They love it. Let me read some of Trump's Truth Social posts. He's going to be commentating this live, and you know what I was thinking? Like maybe a way to get around the live stream. Yeah, I think it's going to be doing the live. Well, his wording was kind of vague. I think he's doing like a live stream like this, but he might also just be live tweeting it. I couldn't tell which way.
It has to be that he's live tweeting truthing, posting. Because it was just like, remember like the last couple nights of the DNC, he was live posting through like Buttigieg's speech. He was live posting Kamala. I think that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah,
it'd be so funny to see him with like a little headset on.
That's what it's.
Like,
He posted some vague tweet and he was like, the start time is going to be this. Be there on my page. So I was like, oh, is it going to be a live stream? But I think you're right, actually. He talks about it somewhere over here. I will be doing a play-by-play between the brilliant JD Vance and the highly inarticulate Tampon Tim. I can't believe that he said watch Truth Social tomorrow night. Okay, he's saying like watch the feed basically, not watch the live stream. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
That'd be so much fun to watch though. It's gonna be. We can. Man, we've been having this debate. It's not worth the risk. You think it's not worth the risk? It's tempting.
Maybe.
People in chat say no, usually, but
I think not to do it.
They say don't risk it. It's very short-term thinking to risk like your channel and your growth long-term because it could mess up your growth. It could mess up like your ability to reach people in the algorithm, just for one debate night. That's not even that big of a deal. Like it's probably a bigger deal in our head. Everyone's saying no.
Let me see. Let me read this chat. Oh, I'm seeing lots of Libra energy. I like that. Hello to my fellow Libras. It is funny that we have the same birthday. I have a friend whose birthday it is today, and then a friend whose birthday it is Thursday. I think October is the best birthday. That's my biased opinion. Obviously, October 2nd, a great birthday. And it's also Jimmy Carter's 100th birthday. So happy birthday to you, Jimmy Carter. An incredible feat.
He's first president. We know he's watching.
Jimmy Carter's turned the first former president to turn 100. I have some trivia for you. I'm going to go into my nerd corner here. Jimmy Carter is the president who has lived the longest since leaving the White House. So the most years since leaving the White House. Do you know who number 2 is?
Is it Bill Clinton? I don't know.
It is John Adams. To all my John Adams stands out there. Yes. Big fans of John Adams on the show.
I just threw out a guess because I remember him saying like, "Oh, Biden and Trump were both older than I was." than I am now, and I left office a while back. Yeah, that is true. Someone in chat said, keep your integrity and don't stream it. It's not an integrity thing. It's not that I would be losing integrity. It's just more about, like, I want to experience it with you guys. Yeah, I'd be in the gutter. I don't think it's like that. That's not the question. It's just about whether CBS is the one that needs to have more integrity. It's a public service.
Did you ask Ben what they heard, or?
I just texted him, yeah. I just kind of assumed.
It is so strange.
They gave me the same answer as last time. They said, "Don't try it. Don't try it."
Yeah, I guess it's sad.
Which is
Are you going to be live reacting to the? Are you going to be live streaming the Trump's Truth Social new post?
Maybe. Oh, people want me to stay on and mute the sound of my feed, but that felt very awkward last time because then my mom told me, like, she clicked on my feed from home and it was just me sitting there quietly and she didn't know what she was watching. She's like, "Why is Adam just sitting there?"
Oh, real quick, I have to. So, I guess you're not going to be able to see this. My mom is tuning in. She said watching. My mom is tuning into the live to watch.
What's up?
So, everyone in the chat, say hi to my mom.
Mrs. Cocciarella. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Cocciarella?
Beth. It's close enough. But actually, people have been asking. Sorry, I'm taking over your live. I do this every time I come on. I've gotten a couple of comments where people ask me to pronounce my last name. So, it's Cocciarella. For anyone who's been asking, because I've seen a couple of comments, but it would just feel weird to end the end of the video and just be like, Donald Trump, another terrible press conference, and my last name is.
Yeah. Or just open it with like, "This is Jack Cocciarella." We hosted our own little like live debate between JD Vance and Tim Walz, but it was kind of a makeshift debate because we were watching JD Vance's Senate debate from 2022, and then Tim Walz's gubernatorial debate from 2022. And then we were pinning their abortion answers against each other. And JD Vance genuinely goes for the thing where he says they're killing babies in the 9th trimester. Or no, not the 9th, the 9th month, the 3rd trimester. And then he also says...
Do you think he's going to do that? Do you think he's going to say that about Minnesota? He's going to say it happens post... You think he's going to do
That's going to be what he says. And then in this debate...
go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, I'm not even kidding. He pivots to immigration right away. It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen. And this was before he was even like a Trump copycat. But yeah, go on.
Oh, you mean in the Tim...
And the debate 2 years ago, yeah.
Oh, with Tim Ryan.
Yeah, Tim Ryan.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you seen the first ad that Tim Ryan put out in that? It's something you should definitely play. It's really incredible. If you watch, and I know you said you did watch that, but if you watch that debate between Vance and Ryan... It is still astounding that JD Vance somehow became a United States Senator. The difference between those two individuals, it's almost like Tim Ryan feels like, and it's funny they have the same first name, Ohio Tim Walz. Like they kind of give off a lot of the same energy, and it is a matchup that JD Vance is certainly uncomfortable with. But back to what we were talking about with what the objective of tonight is, I do wonder if JD Vance is trying to save a little bit of face with Trump tonight. If he knows that no matter what he says, no matter what performance he gives, it'll kind of all wash out and no one will really care. So is he just going to go out there and do Trump shtick, knowing that it doesn't really matter what he says, everyone hates him anyways, and he's not going to break through in any meaningful way? And he just kind of goes and pushes the same lies? Because I know he doesn't want to commit to looking as crazy as Trump, but I guess he kind of has to. Also, thank you to everyone in the chat who said hi to my mom. It's very nice of you.
I think one of the main goals, 10-minute warning. Yeah, everyone in chat is the best. 10-minute warning for the debate. I think one of the main goals of JD Vance, really quickly, look at this ad right here. Do you remember this? I don't know if you could see it, but...
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans?
I'm also watching.
Media calls us racist for wanting to build Trump's wall.
He starts off his ad, "Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans?
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans?
How
the media calls us racist for wanting to build Trump's wall.
How does
they
he
censor
I
us,
saw a little
but it
thread.
doesn't change.
I don't know how he won.
And do you follow the Twitter account Organizer Memes?
I've seen it in my feed. I don't know if I follow it.
Well, they posted a thread, and it was like all the photos that JD Vance doesn't want you to see. But it wasn't like anything like explicit or anything. But it was just him, like in undergrad and probably at Yale, just like hanging out with his friends, like being a normal-ish guy, which I think he was. And what is the most damning JD Vance story of all, of even like considering all like the Trump flips and all of that, is that someone who went to school with him was writing about how after one of their friends or during one of their friends' transitions, and after they had top surgery, JD Vance had like brought them multiple meals during the week after their procedure and was like doing everything they could and checking on them. And then like slowly as he started to pivot, and this was like late 2019 into early 2020, and as he's starting to pivot into Trump world, how he just lost touch with this person. And it's kind of just like the losing your humanity aspect of it for JD Vance, because Tim Walz talks about this as well. The America that Tim Walz sees is the America of, oh, something's going on in your life. How about I bring you a meal, right? Something just happened with your family, or you just had a procedure. You need a little bit of help. Something's going on. Let me bring you a meal. And like that aspect of JD Vance is just completely removed. He's a Trump shill. He's a Silicon Valley shill. Like he's not like a real person. And I think that story is so representative of him. And I just want to bring up one other JD Vance thing because it's just been bouncing around in my brain. Something I do hope that Tim Walz brings up, and I think you might have saw this, one of JD Vance's text messages from, it was like December 2020 leaked, of when he said the whole Trump presidency was an absolute disaster. He didn't accomplish anything, which again, I want Tim Walz to bring this up and point out the hypocrisy of JD Vance. I don't know how far it'll move the political needle, but I would just be a fan if he did it. It would make me happy. But to say, you not only said that this guy was you said that he was an opioid, and like coming from your community, what a damning thing to say. You said that in 2016. And then in 2020, you said he was a failure. But in 2022, you said you're supporting him now because he was so successful. Like, how do you actually feel? Can you look into the camera and give us an honest opinion of who you are? No, you can't. You're hiding your agenda. You're hiding your positions. You're hiding who you are. It's just all a lie from both of them.
Sorry, I'm just laughing. Someone in chat is spamming, hey, everybody, Adam was born in England. They said it like 5 times. Like, Adam grew up in England. Adam grew up in England. What kind of lie is this? I've never been to England.
Can we hash out the Reddit photo of you and Sheldon from Big Bang Theory and find out who in the chat said this?
Which one of you was this? My dad, I sent that in my family group chat. My dad was like, you have some explaining to do stuff to my mom, which is funny. 1 second. If you guys aren't on the Adam Mockler subreddit, by the way, this is the most poppin' political subreddit right here.
Check it out.
It's great. Someone earlier was saying that I look like Sheldon. I don't see it. Anyone see this resemblance? Tazon Day, what's up? Adam grew up on Mars. Yep. I don't see this. Jack said it was funny because the only resemblance is
you both hair. Just have short hair. You don't have the same hair. It's just short hair.
I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
My grandma, I sent it in the family group chat earlier. My grandma was like, I don't see it. Someone said, I don't see it. The hair.
Who do you look like? Actually, everyone in the chat, who do you think Adam looks like? Who's his celebrity?
I've always wondered, do I have any celebrity? It's going to be like the most offensive shit ever.
It's going to be the worst person it could possibly be.
You look a little bit like Matt Gaetz mixed with JD Vance. Yeah, I don't see the Sheldon thing. A lot of people say
Brad
Danny
Pitt?
DeVito. Okay, Brad Pitt. Yeah. Peter Pan. Young Sheldon. Steven Tyler. What are y'all on? Johnny Pemberton.
It looks like Ellen. You're getting cooked, man.
Yeah, I'm getting cooked.
Your chat is not nice to you.
Someone said it's the T-shirt over another shirt.
No, I don't see that. I don't see that one at all.
I'm glad we're talking about the important issues 5 minutes before the debate.
Right?
I'm glad we're going in depth on what the American people care about.
This is the stuff that matters. This is the hard-hitting news. Well, do you know what? Maybe
maybe the kid that took an AR. Someone said Kyle Rittenhouse. All right, we're shutting that down.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say, maybe these will be the questions asked of JD Vance and Tim Walz.
The first question, they're like, who resembles?
Who is your celebrity lookalike? Remember at the end of debates when they used to ask, like, what's one thing that you admire about the other person? How far we've come.
They asked that to Trump and Hillary, and Hillary gave a real answer, and I think Trump didn't.
Hillary's answer is really funny in hindsight, because she said she admires his kids.
His kids, yeah.
Which is like Don Jr. and Eric are both insane. And Ivanka, like probably of all the Trumps besides Trump himself, could not have abused the presidency for her financial gain anymore. So, yeah, I don't think that was exactly spot on. Good with a lot of the other things Hillary said, but that one maybe didn't hit.
I don't see Pee Wee Herman.
People keep saying Brad Pitt. That's
Macaulay Culkin, you know, I thought when I was younger, I looked a lot like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. Nowadays, obviously not, but maybe a younger me. Brad Pitt, facts. Glenn Powell, yeah. No one's even saying this stuff. I'm just making this up. Wow, everybody's saying Glenn Powell.
Brad Pitt in Fight Club? Thanks, guys.
Nicholas Hoult.
Oh, I can see that one. He's got a new movie coming out. I know who you're talking about.
All right, let's talk about the real issues for a second.
With our
as we're heading into this debate.
Yeah. I can see that
polling shows.
Hold up. Let me see what CBS is saying. They're doing their countdown. They're all in the spin room with 3 minutes to go.
All right. With that, I think I'm going to be leaving the stream. I'll leave you to it. Thank you for bringing me on as always. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for the birthday wishes. Very kind of you all. Thank you for saying hi to my mom. That was also very nice. And I'll probably be seeing y'all after the debate. Are you
post show?
Again?
Let's do a post show. Yep. See you, brother.
Sounds like a plan, brother. Bye.
All right, so we are 5 minutes out. Let's do this. Let's listen to what CBS is saying.
In an uncomfortable and unwelcome and unwanted post-Trump era, what role does J.D. Vance play in that? A considerable amount of that decision will be drawn from what he does tonight. He knows that. In contrast, Governor WALZ is 60, 1 year older than Kamala Harris. He does not have any obvious designs on the presidency if Kamala Harris wins and serves out 2 terms. He's there to enhance the ticket as it exists and amplify things on the positive side where and when he can. Very different calculations, very different risk factors for the two.
Here we
Bob,
go.
even if you're Bob Dole, who had a bad night in 1976, he was the nominee 20 years later for the Republican Party. So you can even rescue yourself from a bad night. What are your final thoughts on
this? Is true. I'm not going to lie. The stakes aren't incredibly high. There's no reason for anybody to be sweating or nervous, even though I'm sweating a bit because it's hot and I'm wearing 2 shirts. But, like, there's no reason to be nervous.
The campaign planes. They talk about these.
I bet you could. Adam could beat J.D. Vance by a large margin. I think that they would be fun as hell to do an official debate like this. It would be so much fun.
Vice presidential.
I think that people always take it, I don't know.
Debates as low impact, but they really are high stakes. Everybody watching tonight knows one of these 2 men could become president of the United States. The country is going to take a temperature on character.
I'm just excited for the content. Yeah, I think what would be better than me live streaming it is me making videos out of it as it happens. Maybe making videos of my reaction rather than risking my entire channel.
On policy, who are these people who might lead the country? And one of them might be leading the country should a crisis happen, a heartbeat away from the presidency. We live in a time of assassination attempts on the Republican nominee, of political violence, and of aging politicians. So it's no question that one day one of these people could be president. We hope all people live healthy lives and serve full terms, but you never know in American history. That's what the history always tells us.
Nancy, the other big event is these incredible floods in North Carolina, which also is a platform for presidents.
It is, because handling of natural disasters is often a proxy for...
Tim WALZ, YouTube channel. Someone said, I just took a Trump. Oh, someone said CBS is ruthless, so don't air it. Okay. I'm not going to air the debate, y'all. I'm going to go get some food and watch it and just enjoy it and chill out. You guys better be here for the post-debate show. Go watch it on CBS. Go watch it. Go check it out. We're going to do a post-debate show. You guys are the best. Maybe we'll stay up till midnight and it'll be my birthday or something. We'll do a long stream after. Let me go eat. I don't want my channel to be struck down, but I really want to experience it with you guys. But I'll see you after.